Mayor, please stop talking to my commissioner. Thank you, Mayor. As soon as Commissioner Cabrera could get to his seat, he will lead us in prayer and then followed by the pledge.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lord, bless us to do wise decisions today for Miami-Dade County. Give us the wisdom to govern properly. Also, let's take a moment of silence for all of the folks that are affected by the tragic crash in Washington yesterday. Thank you. Amen.
All right, Mr. Attorney.
Good morning.
Can we, as we've been doing the last several meetings, take up zoning and CDMP together?
Yes, sir. A motion to set the combined agenda would be in order.
So moved.
It's been moved by the Vice Chair, seconded by Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. All in favor of setting the agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Show the agenda here set. All right, Mr. Attorney, do you need to read anything into the record?
Not at this time, Mr. Chair, but it would be appropriate for the zoning director to read the opening statement and to have the witnesses sworn.
All right, Mr. Director, go ahead, and if there's any requests for deferrals as well.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Eric Silva, RER. In accordance with the Code of Miami-Dade County, all items to be heard today have been legally advertised in the newspaper. Notice have been mailed and the properties have been posted. Additional copies of the agenda are available here in the chambers. Items to be called up to be heard by agenda number and name of applicant. Please note, board action on any item in today's meeting may be reconsidered, and additional action may be taken on such an item at the same meeting. Applicants and members of the public may wish to govern themselves accordingly. The record and file for the hearing on each application, which includes documents from the public, agencies, the Department of Regulatory and Economic Resources, and where there's an appeal from the Community Zoning Appeals Board, we also have the transcript from those hearings. All documents are physically present today, available to all interested parties, and available to the members of the Board of County Commissioners who may examine these items from the record during the hearing. Parties have the right of cross-examination. This statement, along with the fact that all witnesses have been sworn in, shall be included in any transcript of these proceedings. In addition, there's an official translator present in the chambers for individuals requesting such assistance. Will the clerk please swear in the witnesses?
Your mic.
Please stand and raise your right hand.
Please stand if you need to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. You may be seated.
All right. Are we good? Mr. Attorney, let's start with item 8C1. If the director needs to read anything into the record.
Yes, item 8C1, 18050, Investments LLC, Z2023000274. We've had no protests and no waivers on this application.
All right, we will now open up public hearing. I have someone, Lang Lori, speaking in favor of the item. No? All right, so I guess we'll waive it in support, some version of that. All right, having no other public speakers, is the applicant here? Good morning. How much time are you going to need?
Good morning. I'm Vanessa Madrid with the law firm of Holland & Knight. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, 1080 West Investments LLC. And before I continue, I'd like to introduce my colleagues who worked with me on this project, Pedro Casant, Mish Satut. I'd also like to thank staff for their involvement in this application and their supportive recommendation. Also, housekeeping item, want to reserve 5 minutes for rebuttal just in case that's needed.
How much time do you need for the actual presentation?
I can make it very brief, and we'll answer questions as needed.
Commissioner, would you like to be recognized really quick?
Thank you. I have reviewed the plan, and I've had my briefing with staff, and I do see what you're saying about it just being a housekeeping item, and with that, I will move it based on staff's recommendation.
All right, we have a motion to move it based on staff recommendation. We have a second by Commissioner Cabrera. I need to officially close public hearing that I have not done. Are you comfortable with that? I think it's going in your favor, so you may not want to screw that up. Any debate on the item? Seeing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. Show item 8C1 passed favorably.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. All right, Mr. Attorney, can we take item 8C5? And if the director needs to read his statement into the record.
Yes, 8C5, 19640WH LLC, application number Z20240000124. We've had no protests and no waivers of support in this application.
All right, and I'm opening public hearing, but I have no speakers here today. So if the applicant is present.
Good morning, Commission. Edward Martos, office at 2800 Ponce de Leon Boulevard. We're available for questions, even to make a presentation if necessary, but we agree with staff's report. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Steinberg, you're recognized.
Yeah, this one I do have a couple questions on.
Okay.
You know, I understand that this actually does allow for less height than what is normally allowed, so that's already starting us on a better
Yes.
projection. However, I am requesting that the application not only be tied to the site plan, that, you know, really specifically cite the number of floors, everything else.
Yes.
However, I know that you're putting green space on the first floor.
Yes.
Which I think is great. However, you're also putting courts for people to be able to use it and activate and play tennis or pickleball or what have you.
Yes.
And the only concern I have, because it's across the street, you have single-family homes.
Yes.
And so I do want to put in a condition that the tennis or pickleball or basketball and whatever recreational activity you have on the property, that can only really be between sunrise and sunset, so you don't have lights at night blaring right into these people's homes and loud noise and everything else. So I really want to make sure we're protecting the quality of life while we're trying to find that balance of
Yes.
making sure that we're really bringing us into a better posture in that area.
Yes. Staff had actually raised this concern and recommended a condition limiting use of the courts and the lighting for the courts until 11 p.m. We're happy to proffer 10 p.m. If that's acceptable to the board.
You know, I do think 10 o'clock is late. I do. I think you have families who live there. They have to wake up the next morning for school. You know, I think you're going to have to do better than 10
9?
o'clock. I mean, and I'll ask staff, you know, if they have any suggestions.
We had a previous application, it was for soccer, same type of thing, and we did recommend 9 o'clock in that application.
And we're happy with 9.
Okay, so 9 p.m. And so you will make sure that it's tied to that language, that 9 p.m. And what happens if, yeah, Eric?
Yes, Commissioner, we will add a condition that the pickleball courts will be permitted to operate no later than 9 p.m. And we'll add a condition regarding lighting in general, whether it's lighting for the pickleball courts or security in the back there, where you have the park area and the open space, that none of those security lights should spill over into the adjacent properties.
Thank
That's
you.
acceptable.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. So with that and the additional conditions that we just discussed, and based on all the other conditions, tying it to the site plan and everything else that staff is recommending, I will move it favorably.
All right, show the item moved favorably with those conditions. It's been seconded by the vice chair. I'm going to officially close public hearing. Seeing no further discussion on item 8C5, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Show 8C5 pass. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do we need, quick question, do we need actual roll calls for this? No, right? Just making sure.
Voice vote is fine on the zoning.
All right. All right, Mr. Attorney, let's take item 3A, 3A supplement, and 3A1 with its companion item in the zoning, which is, I believe, 8C2.
Yes, that is correct, Mr. Chair. Item 3A, 3A supplement, 3A1, this is a small-scale application that was previously heard on first reading. This application is before you today for public hearing and final action. I will read the ordinance title and also reference a companion resolution in the event the board wishes to convert to a standard and transmit. However, if the board takes final action today on the small scale, the resolution will be deemed withdrawn. The public hearing on this item will be held once for both the CDMP and concurrent zoning application, and this hearing will be conducted in accordance with quasi-judicial principles. The public hearing will be incorporated into the record for both the CDMP and zoning items, and the zoning item is, as you noted, item 8C2. So item 3A, this is an ordinance relating to Miami-Dade County Comprehensive Development Master Plan, providing disposition of application number CDMP 2023-0022, located at the northwest corner of Southwest 236 Street and Southwest 125 Avenue, filed by AMC Development Group LLC as an October 2023 cycle application to amend the county's CDMP, providing severability exclusion from the code and an effective date. And that also includes 3A supplement, and then, as I mentioned, if the board were interested in transmitting, this would be 3A1 resolution pertaining to that same application and directing the mayor to transmit. And for the zoning application, the zoning director may wish to introduce 8C2 at the same time.
All right, thank you, Mr. Attorney. Public hearing is now open, but I have no public speakers, so I'll go ahead and close public hearing, and then to the applicant. You have a presentation, or?
I do. If they could pull it up, please.
All right. Do you know how much time you're going to need?
It shouldn't be more than 3 to 5 minutes, and if I could save time for rebuttal, please.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Your name and address for the record.
Good morning, everyone. Miriam Solar Ramos is with office at 701 Brickell Avenue, Holland and Knight, together with my colleague Hugo Arza, who is here in the audience. This is yes, I see it up on the screen. As staff has explained, this is a concurrent zoning and CDMP application. This is located between 125th and 126th Avenue and between 236th Street and 232nd Street in South Miami-Dade County. It is approximately 6.49 acres. It is one vacant parcel. If we could go 2 slides ahead, please. The purpose of this application is to allow for a future multifamily rental apartment community that is very needed in this area. Next slide. There are 4 requests with this application. The first request is for a CDMP change of land use from low-density residential to medium-high density residential. A zoning application change from agricultural district to RU4. A non-use variance permitting a 0.03 FAR increase from 0.08, which is permitted, to 0.83. And acceptance of a new declaration of restrictions providing for utilization of urban design principles, including centrally located amenities, 248 residential units, 100% workforce housing, and road mitigation for the area. Next slide, please. As you will see in these aerials, the land use change is very consistent with what is occurring in the area. Specifically to the west and south of the property, you will see that the medium-high density residential is consistent. Next slide. Similarly, the zoning request is consistent with the area from agricultural to high-density apartment district, as shown to the south and west in this depiction as well. Next slide. Importantly, as mentioned, this application is allowing and providing and promising 100% workforce housing, in addition to providing high density along the South Dade Transitway by the SMART, as envisioned by the SMART plan. Next slide. There are no objections, as noted. As I mentioned before, this is consistent with the surrounding area, and the canal serves as a natural boundary from residential properties that are located to the east of this particular site. Next slide. This is the site plan. The site plan provides for 6 multifamily buildings that are 3 stories in height. It provides for centrally located amenities, and those amenities include a pool, playground, walking path, and open space. The parking exceeds the parking required after the 10% reduction is taken into account. The dedication of 125th Street and 236th Street is also included, and it's a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. Next slide. The project will provide impact fees estimated at over $3 million. Next slide. And of course, importantly, the proximity to the South Dade Transitway will increase ridership. The nearest stop is 232nd Street, and it is approximately 1/4 mile from the project. And because of this, the project could actually build to 545 units. However, it is being voluntarily capped at 248, as I mentioned. Next slide. This reiterates what is proffered in the Declaration of Restrictions, which I already went through. And finally, next slide, we enjoy staff's recommendation on both the CDMP and the land use, the CDMP and the zoning application, and we thank staff for that. Last slide. To recap the reasons for adopting this amendment is that it is compatible with the area, it provides high density close to the South Dade Transitway, and very importantly, provides 100% workforce housing. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
All right. I did close public hearing, right? Yep, I think I did. Thank you so much for staying under your time. Commissioner from District 8, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the application consistent with staff's recommendation and the proffered covenant of declaration of restrictions.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. It's been seconded by Commissioner Regalado. Any further discussion? Any clarifications that the attorneys may need?
Just a reminder that you're voting on the CDMP piece. This is the ordinance, so you'll need a roll call. That's it.
All right. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Commissioner Bastian? Commissioner Bermudez? Commissioner Cabrera? Commissioner Cohen-Higgins?
4.
Senator Garcia? Commissioner Gonzalez?
4.
Commissioner Regalado? 4. Commissioner Steinberg? Vice Chairman McGee?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimous.
All right, let's take item 8C2. Is there an additional statement needed to be read, or? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Director.
Application 8C2, AMC Development Group, LLC. Application number Z20230000440. We've had no protests and no waivers of support on this application. I just wanted to mention, we passed out a new covenant today restricting all the units to workforce housing.
All right, we already had public hearing on this item, so Commissioner from District 8, you are recognized for a motion.
I move consistent with staff's recommendations.
It's been moved, it's been seconded by Commissioner Regalado. And this one is also a roll call now. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Show both of those items passed then. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna take a few-minute recess, while 1 or 2 minutes, while the director handles something that he needs to handle with the clerk's office. Everyone stay put. Let's start back with 4A, 4A supplement, and 4A1. And if the, quiet please, guys. Recess is now over. All right, the director needs to read his statement onto the record.
So this is a new standard item 4A, 4A supplement number 2, and 4A1. This is a new standard application before you today for first reading, public hearing, and transmittal. I'm going to reference the resolution for transmittal, which we'll be taking action on today, and read the ordinance title for first reading. The board can vote on the resolution and the ordinance together by roll call. So item 4A is the resolution pertaining to this application, which is 2024-0004, and this is the transmittal reso. And item 4A1, this is the ordinance for first reading, and it's an ordinance relating to Miami-Dade County Comprehensive Development Master Plan, providing disposition of application number CDMP 2024-0004, filed by the Miami-Dade County Department of Regulatory and Economic Resources as an out-of-cycle application to amend the urban center text of the land use element of the CDMP related to the Douglas Road Metropolitan Urban Center, providing severability exclusion from the code and an effective date. These are public hearing items.
All right, I will open public hearing now, and I have one public speaker signed up to speak, Graham Penn. All right, here we go.
Very briefly, Mr. Chairman, it's good to see everyone. I rise in support of this item. These technical changes will help align the Douglas Station Urban Center with the rest of the urban centers in the county. They will also directly support the rapid transit zone and smart plan policies. The existing Douglas Station Urban Center standards, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, Graham. I'm so excited about this, I forgot. The current language of the Urban Center predates the modern smart plan policies and code revisions. So these small changes will help align the Urban Center with the existing code and the smart plan policy. So we would urge you to adopt and transmit this morning. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Penn. Does the department need to state anything as a department item?
Jerry Bell, Planning Director. We are recommending approval of the item.
All right, show public hearing now closed. Commissioner from District 7, you're recognized.
Move the question.
All right, it's been moved, it's been seconded by the Vice Chair. Madam Clerk, seeing no other discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. Senator Garcia. Commissioner Gonzalez.
4.
Commissioner Higgins.
Yes.
Commissioner Regalado.
Yes.
Commissioner Bastian.
Yes.
Commissioner Bermudez. Commissioner Cabrera. Vice Chairman McGee.
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
Vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you. Congrats, Department. Mr. Attorney, let's take item 8A1, and the Director could go ahead and read a statement once he takes his seat.
Application 8A1, Archimedes 22 LLC and Lennar Homes, Z20220000221. We've had no protests, no waivers of support, 15 waivers of support in this application, sorry, 15.
All righty. Was public hearing already held on this item?
This item had a public hearing in July 19th of 23.
All right, so public hearing has already been open and closed on this item. So Commissioner from District 8, seeing that this is in your district, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a few questions on this application. This is a CZAB appeal, and the denial at the CZAB was because they felt like it was too dense for the area. And subsequent to that CZAB hearing, there has been a reduction, but has it only been a reduction from 85 to 78? Is that my understanding? And if that's true, why has it been 2 years, not 2 years, a year and a half? Explain to me the history. I don't understand why it's taken so long if the reduction has only been from 85 to
So good morning, Hugo Arza, 701 Brickell Avenue, representing principally the contract purchaser, Lennar Homes, and that's a big part of the reason. So when this application was before this commission in late 23, the application was under a different developer contract purchaser. So subsequent to that deferral, several months later, Lennar got under contract for the property. So in fact, Lennar only got under contract for the property, middle part of last year. So you all heard it. It was a prior developer that was before you. That deal fell through. The property owner entered into contract with Lennar earlier last year. And then from the moment we started working on it and they turned to us to start working on it, then we started trying to address some of the issues to get before you. We would have been before you probably in 6 or 7 months, but then we obviously didn't have a December meeting and the like. So, but in fact, Lennar's only been working on this for the last 6 or 7 months. During that time, we met with the neighbors numerous times. We have secured 15 letters of support that are in your record. We have reduced the density of the project. We have changed the site plan of the project to include larger homes to the east border, which is the border with the existing homes that are in the community. And we have added the inclusion of a park, a 10,000 square foot dog park that will be developed and maintained by the HOA, but open to the public from sunrise and sunset, not just for this new community, but for everyone that's in this area. We had heard from some of the neighbors that there were no, within walking distance, there was no place to go and maybe walk your dog and the like. And so we're now placing pretty centrally located. So I have a presentation, but the answer to your specific question is Lennar has only been at this for a few months now, not the time since 23, which I do recognize is quite a bit of time.
What was the name of the previous developer?
I believe it was CC Homes.
Thank you. To the administration, when I look at the map on our documents prepared, the recommendation coming from the administration is that with this reduction, it is now more compatible with the other parcels in the area. But the parcels to the south, the parcels to the west, the parcels to the north, have those all been rezoned and not yet developed? Because visually it appears like the parcel is surrounded by all agriculturally zoned land with the exception of to the northwest corner. So my question is, are the other areas already rezoned but not yet developed? And if that's not the case, how is it the recommendation that this is consistent with the surrounding area?
Commissioner, when this went to the CZAB, staff recommended approval at 85 units. And part of that analysis was based on the surrounding zoning, which was EUM to the south and the east, which this would, although they're requesting for small lots in some cases, since this new developer took over, we told them that they need to go back and take a look at the recommendation from the CZAB, that denial, and do something about those lot sizes. So what they did is they brought some of those lots up to over 16,000 square feet, and there are some in this neighborhood that at the hearing at CZAB, they talked about 17,500 square foot lots. So on the edges of the plan, the new plan that you have before you today, they brought those up to around 16,000 square feet. And they reduced the number that would have the small lots. And they've also added a dog park, which will be open to the public also for public use, not just within the community. So people that live in the surrounding area could also use that. And there will be a sign there that says for use by the public.
Okay, but my question was the parcels to the south, have those already been rezoned? And to the applicant, you may know the answer to.
Yeah, and we have a graphic. If our
Could you
slide
show
has
it
a
to me?
graphic that shows precisely, if I could ask staff to pull that up.
Commissioner, the parcel to the south is under review now. It's another application that's under review by staff.
Under review for a site plan approval, but the zoning is in place.
That's
So
what I'm
the slide I hope
thought
to
I was
show you
pretty
shortly
clear. I
is
was
that
asking
all of it
about
is EUM.
zoning, not site plan.
Right.
So can you answer the question regarding the zoning and the?
Yes, the zoning to the south is EUM, which is what we're seeking for this parcel now.
Okay, that's what I wanted clarity on. Thank you for answering my question. I am happy to move the application consistent with staff's recommendation, and in light of the reductions and the amendments that have been made, I appreciate you meeting with the community, including the dog park, which I assume that they had requested, and I appreciate the work that has been done to get it before us today. So I move the application consistent with staff's recommendation.
All right, it's been moved by the District Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. It's been seconded by Gonzalez. Director needs to state something?
Yes, Commissioner, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add those 3 conditions to reference the new site plan with the lower units in the dog park, to require them to put the sign up at the dog park that says it's open from during daylight hours and open to the public, and also they need to submit a revised covenant within 30 days.
Yeah, is that not already included in the paperwork? That's something that needs to be specifically articulated verbally on the record?
I wanted to
I thought
articulate the
all
site
of that
plan.
was already included.
We have a site plan condition there now, but the date doesn't show the latest plan that's in front of you today. Which
Okay.
includes the dog park.
So I move it consistent with staff's recommendations and all of those three important amendments that he just placed on the record, and the applicant is nodding
we
his
agree.
head.
Okay, it's been moved, it's been seconded by Gonzalez. Commissioner from District 2, you're recognized for a question. Your microphone.
Thank you so much. I, of course, support the decision. District Commissioner, just had one quick question. I saw that you set aside 7 units out of the 85.
Correct.
Right? Could you clarify the area, the AMI for these 7 units?
The AMI would be consistent with allowable from 80 to 120, like we're 80 to 140. We have not selected a range within it. It would just be in the workforce housing realm, up to no more than 140, 140%.
Thank you. All right, seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Senator Garcia. Commissioner Gonzalez.
4.
Commissioner Hardeman. Commissioner Higgins. Commissioner Regalado. Commissioner Bastian.
Yes.
Commissioner Bermudez. Commissioner Cabrera. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
4.
Vice Chairman McGee. Chairman Rodriguez.
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, Mr. Attorney, let's go ahead and take up item 882. And Mr. Director, go ahead and read your statement.
Application 882, 997 and 114 LLC. Application number Z2022000.
I was here opposing what just transpired, my wife and I, and we didn't get to speak on that. Is that gonna happen, or is this over?
No, it's over. The item passed. It was, the public hearing occurred previously.
We signed up, and we've been at all the public hearings. We have.
Can the clerk speak with, the attorney speak with?
Yes, sir.
Correct. There was no public hearing on that item today. It already had occurred, which I said that at the beginning of the meeting. Can we make sure that somebody speaks with them and explains what just transpired, so we can continue? If you just come here to the side, we'll speak with you.
But I'm a little bit confused, because we've been to every single meeting, missing school and work, to show up to speak out against the proposal, because the density that was recommended was 65 by Ms. Cohen-Higgins.
I understand.
So much so that I even remember.
Sir,
Mr. McGee.
sir, please. I will have staff. I know, and I appreciate you coming out. I know that,
To have us come out here.
and that's,
I've been missing one meeting, and I've been missing work. I'm a school administrator, and I should not be missing my job that I deal with.
we will,
To come out here
and I appreciate you coming out.
by the neighborhood and then just get ignored.
I know, sir. We appreciate you coming out. We do. We really do. The thing is, I will have staff walk you through like the timeline and everything that transpired. So the public speaking on this item already happened. The date will be provided. Everything will be given by staff. If you can please speak to the gentleman, because he did take time out of his work day to come out here. But once you have public speaking on it once and it's been heard, it only happens one time. So have you spoken before on this?
Several times with our comedian, and we signed up to.
Oh, okay, so you spoke before on it already? Okay, so then that was your opportunity. It only occurs one time. So that's, it doesn't happen every time that the item is heard, are the rules. So,
Then something wasn't addressed because Cohen-Higgins has stated, Commissioner Cohen-Higgins has stated the reduction to 65. They went to 78, and we still have issues concerning that, because that's what was recommended. So much so, I never even heard of the word moratorium, but I appreciated when McGee brought that up, McGee, because everybody's building in our area. I'm across the street from this development.
all right, I appreciate you. I should have not even allowed this interaction right now, but I am, because I understand your frustration. If you can just please do me the favor, step to the side, and I'm sure that staff, perhaps the commissioner and others can speak to you and put you at ease if possible.
So all we could do is just come down here and just listen, Ms. Higgins?
I would recognize you, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think procedurally, when we have residents come to sign and speak up downstairs, aren't they notified whether or not public hearing is open or closed on the items for which they are signing up to speak? Because then they would know from the outset, as opposed to sitting and waiting for hours to be told abruptly that they're not going to have the opportunity to speak. Is it not the case when our residents come and sign up downstairs that they are told public hearing on this has already been closed, or is that not taking place?
We do include a statement in the staff report, and
No, no, no.
staff should
Not-
tell
no, no.
them.
Our residents don't have access to staff reports. We have access to staff reports. I'm saying when this gentleman and his family and other residents come and sign up downstairs and drive an hour and a half, park, walk, come and sit down and wait for hours for their application to be called, they have no idea whether they have the opportunity to speak. It's not told to them downstairs when they're signing up.
It should be told to them, Commissioner, but I'm not sure what happened with this specific gentleman. I don't know, but you're correct, staff should tell them that, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the residents, I'll meet you on the side. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Commissioner. Thank you. All right. Did you get to read your statement onto the record? Go ahead, Mr. Director.
It's going to be application 8A2 now,
882.
97 and 114 LLC, application number Z2022000309. We've had 178 protests and no waivers of support in this application.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and open up public hearing. I do have several speakers signed up to speak. So I'm going to call your name and just first the speakers and then the applicants. It's usually how I do this. All right. Kathy Charles O'Sullivan, Gregory L. Motter, Dean Sina, Cheryl Barfield, Ozelia Bodenhammer, Harry P. Davis, Catherine Pontera, Nanette Garavito, Patricia Pardo, and William Gibbs. Kathy, you are recognized.
Mr. Chair, I signed up for 8A3, the next item.
This is for 882. Some of the number. So, are you speaking on the 97th and 114 LLC?
Speaking on Unity Center,
Kathy, can you get to the mic, please? 'Cause I can't.
the Unity Center appeal that was deferred from,
8B1.
Why was it changed on my? So you're on 883, which is in the Unity Center. Okay, all right. So but is this whole list for 883? All right, so I'll call you back up now for 883. This is on 882. All right, all the names that I called up guys, can someone confirm this list? All right, give me a second. If staff can get. All right, so there was clearly a mix-up by when they registered to speak downstairs on this, so I just want to make sure I don't miss anybody for 882. which is the 97th and 114 LLC. Is there anybody here to speak on 882? Please come up. What is your name, sir?
Greg Motter.
All right, I do have you, Greg. All right, perfect. You've got 2 minutes. Please state your name and address.
Greg Motter, 9840 Southwest 105 Terrace.
Perfect. You're recognized. Go ahead.
Death by 1,000 cuts, commissioners. This is what my neighbors and I feel when we see what's happening to the character of our Killian and Falls Acres community. You may know our area, which lies adjacent to and continuous with what is now the village of Pinecrest, evolved organically over the decades, along with Pinecrest, into a relatively low-density community of mostly 1 acre and larger lots zoned for 1 residential unit. In an effort to justify their project, the applicant misrepresents the average lot size in our area by including adjacent areas which lie outside of our boundaries, but fail to mention the effect that the small lots the applicant has already created have on average lot size. The applicant entity further suggests that it is being creative by crowding 21 houses into a space where zoning wisely calls for 7. We have a greater need for green space, and this project will decrease the absorptive surface area by an estimated 75 to 80%. I am pleased to note the Community Zoning Appeals Board 12 unanimously agreed with us in denying this application. In the other part of our area, aka Pinecrest, the elected officials protect its residents from the unconscionable disregard of zoning by for-profit entities and the assault on their quality of life which would result. We respectfully ask you for the same protection. Last summer, we learned in an interview done on This Week in South Florida that Commissioner Gilbert, under his leadership, the Transportation Planning Organization wisely advanced the Smart Rapid Transit Plan. We were encouraged when it was said, one of the goals of TPO and SMART is to mitigate our increasing traffic congestion problems. Approving projects that increase density and therefore traffic seem contrary to the stated goals of TPO and SMART. We hope the entire commission agrees and will disapprove of this 3-for-1 upzoning attempt. I am sure that your constituents constantly voice their concerns and frustrations with the ever-increasing deterioration of our neighborhoods due to overdevelopment, and we hope that you understand our desperation. Lastly, commissioners, we applaud and support your efforts concerning affordable housing and workforce housing.
Thank you,
we
Mr.
see the
Motter.
fruits of, two more lines, the fruits of your labors seemingly everywhere. However, the issue of which we speak today is most certainly not about affordable or workforce housing. We believe that it is time to stop this neighborhood-destroying type of rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Motter. All right. There was someone else that, ma'am? So is this on 882, which is the 9890 Southwest 112th Street?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Your name?
Catherine Pontera.
All right, I got you here. You please state your address, and you have 2 minutes.
Yes. 9890 Southwest 114th Street. Now I want to get one, before you start doing the 2 minutes, I want to get one thing clear, because you're saying a number that's not, it's 2022-000-309.
Yes.
Is that what you have?
Yes.
Okay, now, can you put the 2 minutes back on?
You got it.
Okay. First of all, I would like to clarify that the developer's attorney, Melissa Tapanes, is mistaking and misinformed when she says that the neighbors represented by attorney Tucker Gibbs agreed to a settlement with the developer. We are the neighbors that hired a Tucker Gibbs, and we are against this developing program. There was one neighbor that signed the agreement for the settlement, and right after she signed the agreement, Marcy Davis, she moved away. She sold her property and relocated to Homestead. The rest of the residents on 114th Street are all against this project. This developer is totally ruthless. After being warned by Durham not to cut down a Royal Poinciana tree that was on the right-of-way area, he went ahead and cut it anyway. I'm sure that if he cut that tree that was a native tree, I have a picture here, when it blooms, look how beautiful it was. Here's the machinery cutting it down. After he cuts it down, here are the things. he totally mulches it and pulverizes it, and then uses it for fill, which that fill is totally inadequate for building any houses on that property. Since the 7 acres they removed all these trees that were on the 7 acres, and they added all this excessive amount of fill, our street floods now. I have pictures different times of year. Every time it rains, we never had, in 43 years, we never had any flooding. And here's pictures of the flooding.
Thank you, Ms. Pontera.
There's a problem.
Thank you,
This
Ms.
developer has
Pontera.
about
Ms.
3
Pontera?
different
Is it Ms. Pontera?
violations right now. Case numbers right here.
Yeah, Ms. Pontera. Ms. Pontera. Ms. Pontera. You couldn't hear me? All right, your 2 minutes have been up. Your 2 minutes have been up. Thank you so much. All right, we have Dean Sena. Dean Sena. Followed by Cheryl Barfield, if you could just be ready. And then followed by Ozelia Bodenhammer.
Okay, this is a report made to your Dade County Environmentals. It was made by Marcy Davis, who is the lady that she just pointed out that moved. Pardon me? My name is Dean Sena, and I live on 114th Street for over 40 years.
Thank you.
Okay? Go ahead, all righty. I'd like to report that what I believe to be an illegal land use in my neighborhood, the forest land across the street from us recently been purchased and cleared to be prepared for building. Since 2021, a combination of herbicides have been repeatedly sprayed on the property. The service has been provided by individuals whose trucks have no signage. By the way, this is a report with your Dade County Durham, okay? So it's printed, it's got a number and all that. I'll leave it with you. Our entire block is on well water. Some of the pesticides used in the cocktails they are spraying include Roundup, Concentrate, Cheetah Pro, Ricon, and we bathe in, this is by the neighbor that moved out. We bathe in the pool when we can because we are now even shower with our instead of showering with our water. Our neighbors are taking the same action. However, does not protect our livestock. We have an organic edible forest in our front of our house. We are able to create habitat for wildlife, herbs, fruits, and human consumption. We have organically raised chickens, multiple beehives, and a small backyard. We are still on well water and septic tanks. We'd like to know what action can be taken to protect our water, our neighborhood water, our aquifer, and that. Please let us know what action we can take and what action you can take. By the way, here's the report from your Dade County. Here is the pictures of the truck and the man holding the pesticides right here. And this is the names of them. We've given, it's called Cheetah Pro. It's all these dangerous things. Here's the picture of the truck with no sign on it that Marcy Davis, who's no longer with us, moved to Homestead. Here's the truck. Here's the other services, pesticides.
Thank you, sir.
There's about 5 of them, so there
Appreciate
they
it.
are.
Thank
you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and also the pipes.
Thank you. So thank you. All right, so just for the next
Auto
speakers,
parts left in there.
for all the next speakers, thank you means your 2 minutes is up.
Okay, I left that with you. Thank you.
Sure. All right, Cheryl, you're up.
Cheryl Sena, living same.
Followed by Ozelia Bodenhammer. Thank you, Cheryl. Please, again, your name and address for the record.
Cheryl Barfield Sena, 9745 Southwest 114th Street. Okay?
You're good.
In addition, after bulldozing and removing the green canopy that absorbed heat and rainfall and without permits or inspections, the applicant dumped mountains of unknown fill, including metal pipes, auto parts, and unknown fluids that could be washed into the well water that the neighborhood uses in their homes for human consumption. This illegal fill, raising the elevation of the 7 acres several feet, as well as the deforestation, now causes flooding to the neighbors and has to be removed prior to any construction. The location also happens to be in the endangered pine rockland area near Ronnyman Park, with the pines only available to survive in the few green spaces left in the neighborhood. and we have yet to achieve a master plan that was adopted in 2007 to increase to 30% tree coverage by 2020. Overdevelopment has increased to the point rainfall has nowhere to go due to concrete construction and paving more streets, causing more flooding due to the higher density, such as this one that requires 5 additional streets and 21 more houses than the 7 houses currently allowed without any additional streets necessary. Or development like this one requested have actually worsened the housing situation by causing flooding and environmental consequences that are already making building houses impossible in certain areas of South Florida. I do want to thank the board for passing the new stormwater management and flood mitigation ordinance that recognizes the importance of increasing the amount of rainfall that can be filtered through and captured in the ground instead of impervious surfaces such as buildings and pavement created by overdevelopment. We are also currently facing, and I know you're aware of this, a trash disposal crisis that is worsened by the amount of debris caused by unnecessary construction and increasing the amount of household trash produced, which in this case would be 3 times the amount if density is changed, plus the monumental construction debris. Overdevelopment is the root cause of the excess garbage fueling this crisis.
Thank you, Ms. Barfield. And thank you, actually. I'm very thankful. All right, Ms. Ozelia Bodenhammer. Followed by Harry P. Davis.
I have some visuals, if y'all would like to see them. I don't know if you can see them from here.
Sure, if you could just start with your name and address for the record. And
My name is Ozelia Bodenhammer Fowler, 9831 Southwest 115th Terrace. Okay. Good morning, and thank you for your time. I am here to support our zoning board.
You have copies of this to give them?
Just like that, and one more smaller one.
Okay, I'm gonna give this to the clerks. They're gonna keep this as a.
Yeah, that's fine.
thank you, Sergeant.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Too far? Should I get closer?
Well, can we restart her time, please? So I'm restarting your time.
Thank you.
So I'm going to ask that you have the courtesy of stopping at the 2-minute mark.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for your time. I am here to support our zoning board's unanimous decision to deny this petition. One of their primary concerns was the increase of more dangerous traffic conditions, a conclusion they reached after careful analysis and discussion. The property in question is located on Killian Parkway, a historic thoroughfare with a speed limit of 45 miles per hour. This parkway is a vital commuter route from Kendall to US 1. The property sits just 1 block from Southwest 97th Avenue intersection, where the road narrows to 1 eastbound lane and 2 turning lanes, and it is the main intersection of travel for students going to and from Killian High School. 1 lane goes east to US 1, 1 lane makes a left turn and heads north, and a dedicated right lane turns south. The proposed development would add a minimum of 40 cars during rush hour, all exiting into the dedicated right turn lane. However, most drivers in this area need to go north, east, or west. To go north on Southwest 97th Avenue or west towards Shula Expressway, drivers would need to cross 2 lanes of traffic. Those heading west must also make a U-turn at an intersection with no median, blocking both westbound lanes and interfering with traffic turning right from Southwest 97th Avenue. This creates very hazardous conditions within 1 block of a traffic light. Adding more homes will only increase the likelihood of accidents. The petitioner has not provided any updated traffic analysis to address these dangerous intersection concerns, but it is the responsibility of county commissioners to ensure safe, responsible development. We urge you to respect the zoning board's decision and prioritize the safety of our community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right, Harry P. Davis, followed by Nanette Garavito, and then Patricia Pardo, and then ending with William Gibbs. All right, Mr. Davis.
How can I get these entered?
The sergeant will receive them. And once he does, please state your full name and address for the record.
Yes, I just want to show,
Yeah, he'll bring it up.
all right. The picture on the left shows the organic fill that.
Your name and address for the record, please?
Harry Davis, 11920 Southwest 89th Avenue. The picture on the left, the smaller, shows a picture taken back in '22 of the illegal fill that's been put on the property. It's organic tree material. And this large photo here comes from public record of the PA's office, shows where the fill has been covered over with lime rock material. And the problem here is that this person has never pulled a permit to start filling this property. It has been filled with over 1,000 cubic yards of material, and they sent an inspector out, an officer, the first part of January. He wrote them a citation. Yesterday, there were 2 inspector officers from the Water Control Board, and they looked at it and are preparing to file their violation notices. This property used to have a stream bed in it, and it contained a seasonal lake. And nobody ever was able to build on this property because of the elevation and the wetland characteristics of it. During this whole time that the contractor has been going through this process, he has been filling illegally the property without a permit. He never produced a topo survey to Durham. Durham would have required to him disclose the type of fill and where it would have been put. And now the property has been brought to a level that's starting to create flooding during normal summer rains. So this needs to be brought to the attention, and these violations are all on record.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Thank you. All right, we got Nanette Garavito, then Patricia Pardo, and then Mr. Gibbs.
Nanette Garavito, Fleeman Acres. Honorable County Commission, we come before you to plead the following. The zoning board represents the voices of the local community and is tasked with decision-making that align with the needs, values, visions, and goals of the area. Overruling the board undermines the democratic process and disregards the time and effort this community has invested in these past 2 years crafting and adhering to the comprehensive land use plans via meetings with the developer's attorneys, deferred decision-making processes. Their decision reflects to close to 200 of the most affected residents' objections of the proposed development, and overturning disregards our voices, which we entrusted the board as representatives of our interests. Board's decision reflects careful analysis of how this project is going to impact residents, including traffic congestion, school overcrowding, and strain on infrastructure. Killian westbound from US 1 is unsustainable. Turnpike eastbound has 4 lanes each side, which becomes 2 at the Don Shula extension. There's no room to expand the road. The wall developments of Kendale and Killian Place totally abut the road. Traffic light at 97th Avenue and Killian is almost 6 minutes long. Traffic exiting this site on Killian and 112 cannot make a left turn. Traffic exiting against has to go all the way either out of 114 onto crowded 97th. U-turn impossible at the 6-minute light. Northbound 97 has 4 schools with different entry and exit times. Baptist Hospital traffic uses all of the back roads for access. Environmental factors were also considered, such as stormwater management, flooding in an area where there was none, wildlife habitat, destruction of canopy, safety concerns for pedestrian and cyclists. Try crossing 112th and 97th as a pedestrian or a cyclist. The memorials along the road are going to remind you. Several neighbors saw their visions go up in the smoke of the bulldozers. and they sold and moved away.
Thank you.
Please, keep the integrity and the governance of our community planning process. This
Perfect.
developer makes beautiful, gorgeous homes, 1 acre. This house just sold in
Garavito,
December.
come on.
He can build 1 acre homes in the site.
You know, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm starting to lean the other way now. Because we got to be respectful. We got to be respectful, guys. I'm actually starting to lean the other way without, for no reason. You aren't helping yourselves. I'm just being honest.
Sir, you haven't paid attention.
No, I've been paying attention. Mr. Pardo, or Mrs. Pardo, I'm sorry. Please come up, and then Mr. William Gibbs. You can start, miss. Your name and address for the record.
Name and address, Patricia Pardo, 9801 Southwest 115 Terrace, 2 blocks from this property.
Thank you. You can start. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. Good morning. The zoning board voted unanimously and with prejudice against this petition after hearing both sides. That was in March of this year. They allowed a rebuttal from council, and they asked multiple questions. I think they did their due diligence. You are being asked to overrule the zoning board, which voted with prejudice. Yet the petitioner in our meeting did not present to us any information that changed our minds. The issues are an increase of flood risk or due to overconstruction in the area and creation of hazardous and dangerous traffic conditions. It is true that Miami-Dade needs housing, but mostly we need affordable housing. These houses are not. Flooding here and throughout the country in the last couple of years has increased dramatically. This is our new reality. The areas in Miami-Dade County that typically flood, like Doral, downtown, etc., all have one thing in common, and it is that there are not a lot of green areas for the water to flood. We are located on top of a coral rock that allows the water to both drain and filter for the aquifer. The type of houses that are currently selling in this area have a starting price of $2.5 million. The conventional wisdom is that building more houses decreases the prices, but the opposite is happening in this neighborhood. So we think that progress without forethought can lead to chaos. We cannot afford to be short-sighted, and our urban development needs to adapt in order to deal with the unprecedented amount of rains that we are seeing, and we're counting on the commission for that. If the U zoning is maintained, the developer will still make a profit. We will protect the greenlands, avoid dangerous traffic conditions, and everybody wins.
Thank you. All right, Mr. William Gibbs. You know the drill, your name and address.
Yes, good morning. My name is W. Tucker Gibbs, and that's where the William comes from. My address is 3835 Utopia Court in Coconut Grove, and I'm here today representing Preserve Falls Acres, Inc. It's made up of homeowners who live along Southwest 114th Street, west of Southwest 19th Avenue. There are 12 property owners in this
Mr. Gibbs,
group.
can you say your full address? I think you just said Coconut Grove.
Did I say Coconut? My place of residence?
I don't know. I didn't catch it. Can you just please,
Okay,
whichever address, your business or place of residence?
it's business. It's my business. It's my business.
Can you just do me the favor and re-say it?
Oh, I'm sorry. 3835 Utopia Court in Miami, Florida.
Thank you.
Coconut Grove. Preserve Falls Acres is my client. It's made up of homeowners who live along Southwest 114th Street, west of Southwest 97th Avenue. There are 12 property owners in the group and a 3-person board of directors. A little over a year ago, my clients met with the developer's representative to discuss neighborhood concerns in the proposed rezoning. The result was a several-week negotiation that led to a settlement of our differences. But when the time came to vote on the settlement, a majority of members 7 out of the 10 who attended the meeting and a majority of the board, 2 to 3, voted to support the developer's application. Like many such decisions, this one was not easy. There are members of our group and others who are not members who object to the application. But the developer agreed through the settlement agreement in a restrictive covenant to provide 6 benefits for the neighborhood, and some of them were talked about already. Southwest 100, these benefits responded to specific neighborhood concerns. Number one, the neighbors were concerned with water runoff from the subject property that would flood the street and adjacent neighbors, which was brought up here today. The developer has covenanted to build a 6-foot wall that includes a retaining wall to address this issue along the east, west, and south sides of its property, which is the whole property with the exception
Thank you,
of
Mr.
one.
Gibbs. Thank you.
As an attorney, can I speak for the association?
You could be an engineer, a doctor, or a surgeon. No, the answer is no. All right.
I appreciate
That
it.
is all the public speakers I have signed up to speak.
Excuse me. Marcy Davis, who's been talked about, she signed up but was not called.
I had Harry P. Davis.
No, Marcy Davis.
I don't have a Marcy Davis on my list. Unless staff could tell me otherwise, I will be closing public hearing.
She did sign up downstairs.
I have a list in front of me. That's what I go off of.
Okay. I mean, but I. Okay.
All right, so Marcy Davis is signed up for a different item. Marcy, are you here? Is there another item that you'd like to speak to as well? Marcy, please come up, because I do see that you registered on an item, not this item, but I can switch it.
Was confused who was
Okay, but you're not speaking on the other item, though. Okay, you are recognized. Your full name and address for the record, and you have 2 minutes to speak.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Marcy Davis, residing at 27440 Southwest 165th Avenue. I lived for 40 years at 9800 Southwest 114th Street, but I relocated in July. None of us wanted to lose the 7 acres of forest that we loved or have any changes made to 114th Street. But after the staff report showed it to be unlikely that we could avoid development, our most important goal was to minimize its impact on the street, especially regarding traffic. After numerous meetings, we made a list of our requirements and grievances, met with the developers, and they agreed to almost all of our requests. Therefore, we entered into an agreement. They have agreed to build a retaining wall to address the stormwater runoff, have no traffic access to or from Southwest 114th Street, provide a landscape buffer, propose only 1-story residences to the southern and eastern boundaries, limit construction traffic and parking on 114th Street during the construction phase, and submit a petition to close the Southwest 99th Avenue right-of-way abutting the property to further limit access and preserve neighborhood integrity. I'm on the board of Preserve the Falls Acres, and I support this application.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. All right. I now have no further public speakers signed up to speak. If the applicant would approach, I see you approaching. How much time will you need?
Thank you.
How much time will you need?
15 minutes, sir.
15.
I'll be as quick as I can, I promise.
Okay, so here's my only concern. We might lose quorum.
I'll do 10.
We have, I think, 2 commissioners have already stepped out. So 10 or under?
I'll do my very best.
And then, or Commissioner, how do you want to handle this? Is there a more efficient, expedient way, or would you like to hear the presentation?
We have to hear the presentation.
I agree.
We have questions for staff, so I am concerned about quorum. but-
Okay, so again, this is a quorum situation, so go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you. And it does require a 2/3 supermajority vote. My name is Melissa Tapanez at 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, Miami. I'm here with Michael Garcia Carrillo of GC3 Group, Tucker Gibbs representing Preserve the Fall Acres, and my partner Maritza Harrow. We're here requesting your overturning of the Community Council 12 denial of an application that will help alleviate the county-wide shortage of single-family homes within the UDB while not increasing allowable density. Will preserve the existing character of the neighborhood, consisting of single-family homes with a variety of lot sizes, extends public water and sewer to a residential neighborhood currently on well and septic, has a favorable staff recommendation from your professional staff, and has garnered the support of the immediate neighborhoods as well as the association that purported to represent the neighborhood. This is a 7-acre parcel of land. It's located on Section Line Road of Killian Drive, abutting an FPL transmission lines as well as a station. The properties to the north, while they're zoned EU1, they're all 20,000 square feet. To the northwest, the average lot size is 10,500 square feet. To the southwest, the lot size is 15,500 square feet. And immediately to the south, we have 2 blocks of lots that are approximately 50,000 square feet. To the further south, the lots are 15,500 square feet. We're proposing a rezone from EU1 to EUM. The density at a maximum of 2.5 units per acre will remain. This allows for a maximum of 22 units within the over 7-acre lot. As you can see in the zoning map before you, beyond the FPL property on both sides, you have the EUM zoning district to provide that buffer to the other residential homes as well. Our request is simple: a rezone to EUM, which is a natural transition from the Section Line Road of Killian to the EU1 2 blocks that are to the south, as well as the EUM around it. Most importantly, the application seeks to preserve the existing character of the estate neighborhood by seeking to develop single-family homes. As confirmed by your professional staff in May of 2024, today, under the workforce housing regulations, without the need of a public hearing, as of right, the property may be developed as 22 units. The developer can either build the workforce on site or pay in lieu. Notably, to achieve the CDMP permitted density, the code allows duplexes and triplexes. The goal of this application is simply to develop single-family estate homes, which are the predominant housing type in the area. We are not proposing an increase in density. The traffic generation remains the same, and the ability to exit on Killian Drive remains the same. This is a comparison between what we can build as of right under EU1 and what we can build as we're proposing at EUM. You can see that the 22 units remain unchanged. The context of the neighborhood, however, is single-family homes. Prior to our hearing, we conducted outreach and met with a group of 20 neighbors known as Preserve the Fall Acres, represented by Tucker Gibbs. We met at a private residence on 114th Street, and many of the individuals present today were at that meeting and the meetings that followed. They are part of the association, and in fact, they're wearing their T-shirts today. We heard their concerns and worked with their counsel over a matter of weeks and months to address these issues as part of a settlement agreement and covenant, which we'll distribute for the record at this moment. One of the main issues that really turned the neighbors who to support this project was that they understood that the as-of-right density remains the same, and any building permit that would be issued for the property would require the construction of the already dedicated 99th Avenue, which would serve as a new through street from Killian to 115th Street. You can see the view today from Killian as photo A through 99th Avenue, and then you can see the photo B, which is from a view of 114th Street. This road, if we obtained any building permit on the site, the road has already been dedicated as of 1955, and Chapter 28 of the county code would require the construction of a 50-foot right-of-way connecting Killian to 115th Street. I would submit that this was their major concern. So what we did was we entered into not just your typical county covenant, we entered into a settlement agreement and a private covenant that the neighbors on 114th Street have standing to enforce, meaning that we would not be able to appear before this board and request a modification or release. We would have to secure the support of the neighbors of 114th Street to make any changes. You heard about the 6-foot wall that we will be building from the south, east, and west boundaries to create a residential enclave, prohibiting pedestrian and vehicular access to and from 114th Street, as well as construction traffic. We'll also be limiting the homes along the southern and eastern boundaries to 1 stories in order to protect the line of sight privacy that the neighbors were so concerned of, and also preserve the 1-story character of the surrounding area. We will agree to not to move forward with either a plat or a petition to vacate that 99th Avenue so that it could be preserved as the status quo, which again, the community uses as a play street. The covenant will be recorded in the public records, has been submitted as part of this application file, and is before you today as well. Days before the Community Council 12 hearing, we heard that several association members weren't happy with the association's decision to support the project, and we understood that there would be some opposition. At Community Council 12, the councilman who was running for District 7 commissioner at the time disregarded Mr. Gibbs' testimony and faulted the dozen supporters who were in attendance for not speaking on their own behalf. But that wasn't the worst part of the hearing. The worst part of the hearing was the opposition's testimony under oath, which felt very much like what we heard today. The testimony that you heard under oath was that the developer demolished houses without permits, bulldozed native trees, killed wildlife, spilled oil on the property to contaminate their well water, filled the property with polluted materials. These allegations are inflammatory as they are without merit. What we have before you is the actual public records. You can see that the complaints started coming in from the neighbors from Durham following the applicant's acquisition of the property, beginning in 2021. Durham reviewed the allegation of illegal use of herbicides to polluting well water, and that was found to be false. No violation was issued. The next complaint was in 2023, and they all dealt with the land being cleared, the dumping of oil, creating sand globs, that you could smell the oil across and gas across the street. Each complaint has been investigated by Durham, and no violation has been issued. And in fact, that is clear from the record here before you. You have the actual public records that we were shocked to hear about at that Community Council 12 hearing, but we requested these records, and they all show that these allegations are false. As it relates to the tree issue and the bulldozing of native trees, in an abundance of caution, we submitted for a tree permit. We actually had to clear some brush of the land in order to do a correct tree survey so it would be in the Durham records as part of this entire process. This letter from Durham, dated October 2nd, 2024, said that implementing the project would not require a tree permit because there were no protected trees on the site that we were impacting. So this is no tree permit has been secured on the site because no tree permit has been required on the site. We all know that there's a housing crisis. We were here for numerous months asking for a deferral, and we appreciate the commission and the district commissioner for granting those deferrals. We had that meeting at a Holiday Inn Express. We wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to confront these neighbors with the facts, because we feel that there is a lot of misinformation. Again, the density remains the same at 22 units. There, we will be connecting to water and sewer. There has been no illegal fill.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and
Thank
I'm
you.
available for questions.
Thank you. Commissioner from District 7, you have the floor for the open and flowing discussion on this item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. And thank you to everyone that spoke. I want to hear from staff because there's a lot of conflicting information, right? So we have some neighbors saying 7, the presentation is saying 22. So let's start with as of right. If you could clarify that on the record.
Currently, as of right, they could build 7. With the zone change, they could build 17. What the applicant showed you was the zone change with 17 plus the workforce housing bonus, which gives them that higher number.
But so explain that. So when we say the zoning change, right? So not because they presented it as of right.
As of right, they have 7 units.
No.
Without workforce housing, 7 units on the property. 1 unit
Without.
per acre.
We'd like to submit into the record the letter that we just showed.
Hold on.
Yeah, she can clarify it. I mean, she can clarify it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. We have this letter from the planning department saying that the property today can be developed as of right without public hearing through the workforce housing program at 22 units. That the workforce housing regulations allows for us to utilize the 2.5 units per acre plus the 25 density bonus, and that allows for 22 units. That letter has been submitted into the record.
Thank you. Eric?
If I could just clarify, that letter is related to the future land use map. So the future land use map provides for 1 unit to 2.5 units per acre, and the property is zoned EU1. So there's 2 regulating issues here. One is the land use map, which he showed, but the second regulating issue is the zoning map. The zoning map only lets you build 7. So you cannot build the 22 units that that letter says without changing the zoning.
Not true.
Council? I mean, do you want to respond to that?
That's not accurate. The EU1 zoning district allows for the construction of the 22 units through duplexes and triplexes on 29,000 square foot lots. This is what the letter says from the planning department, and that's the workforce housing regulation.
All right, Eric, back to you. Yes.
If you can build 22 by right, then why are you rezoning the property?
Because we want to build single-family residences instead of duplex and triplexes.
Please, give me 1 second, everyone. 1 second. First, you could just give me just 1 moment. First of all, we're going to maintain decorum here. Everybody has an opportunity to speak. We're having a free-flowing conversation. If I need to go back to a structured conversation where we recognize everything through the chair, I will. But what I'm asking you to do at this particular moment is have respect for one another. So what I'm going to do is, if it's okay with you, Commissioner Regalado, I'm going to ask that if you can direct your questions to whomever it is, stop that question so that we can get an answer and we can move on, and that way we can maintain decorum. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. So, Eric, your position is that it's 7?
Yes.
That's your position.
Listen, hold on.
We're gonna get to you.
We're going to get to you. Just allow us to have this moment. There's a conversation happening, and when it's time to recognize you, we will.
Is there any caveat to the 7? Your position is that they would have to come before this board to do anything more than 7?
Correct.
Despite the letter?
Correct.
Okay. Now to the applicant before we go on to the next issue.
We've produced the letter signed by Eric Silva. It's in the record, and
Yes,
it
so I'm
provides
asking
for
Eric Silva.
22 units.
Yes. I mean, I guess he's looking at
I'd
it.
like for him to pause and look for the letter. We've just provided it to him so that he can correct the record, but I'd like to answer your questions and not waste the commission's time as well. I apologize.
Well, while Eric looks at that, I guess we can talk to Lourdes about the DERM issue. Well, we don't waste people's time. So on the DERM issue, while they figure that out, can DERM speak on the trees and the permit, and what they're saying about the fill? Obviously, those letters were also produced as part of the presentation, but if we can have some clarity.
Who do we have here from Durham? Please come to the mic. State your name for the record, please.
Good morning, Christine Velasquez, Durham.
Thank you, Christine. So can you speak to the allegations that were made, and what's happened with the property? Because we have some letters that were presented. Could you tell us?
Yes, through the chair. Regarding the reference to that notice for no permit required, that was regarding an application that was submitted for removal of exotics and invasives. It wasn't for the specimen trees. As a matter of fact, excuse me, DERM issued a notice of violation for removing specimen trees on the property without having a permit. Regarding the notice or the complaint regarding pesticides, DERM doesn't have any record of anyone claiming about pesticides being used on the property, although that is also not regulated by DERM. DERM did inspect the site yesterday through the water control section, and they did document fill that was placed on the property without any permits or approvals, and DERM will be actually issuing a notice regarding the fill and also to characterize the fill and to take samples from different spots throughout the property.
Back to the trees, you said that there were removals of invasives that obviously do not require a tree permit.
Correct.
Do you have specific information on those invasives?
I would have to get you that information.
Okay, and then regarding the tree removal that you did take issue with, the non-invasives, how many trees are we talking about, and what is the status of that complaint?
I can get you that information. That notice was just issued yesterday, and so I just found out about it this morning, so I can get you the exact information. But we do not have a site plan from the developer or the property owner outlining which trees would have to be theoretically removed for any potential development if this were to get approved. I would also like to note that since this zoning application didn't include a site plan, DERM would typically require a tree removal permit to do that type of evaluation through this process, but this application doesn't have a site plan. But I can get you that additional information regarding the type and number of exotics and the specimen trees I removed.
Okay, but back up a little bit. So you're saying that you just found out about the removal of a specimen tree. You knew about the removal of the exotics.
Correct.
You just found out and about some issues with the fill.
Correct.
But then you mentioned the site plan and future removal of trees. That's like separate and apart.
Correct.
Let's not mix apples and oranges, right? So in terms of the trees that were removed, can someone get us that information, specimen trees that were removed?
Yeah, I'll get you that information right now.
Thank you. Thank you.
What
And
I
to the
understand-
applicant, your response to that?
What I understand is that there was a tree on the public right-of-way that was removed, but we don't have, it was abutting our site, but we don't have knowledge of that. That's what I heard this morning. That's what the violation will be. Well, we haven't received it yet, but we understand that we'll be receiving a violation because there was a tree on the public right-of-way that was removed, abutting our site.
Okay, we'll find out about that. And then
they have inspected, DERM has inspected the site for the fill issue, and they, I believe, years ago, like 2 years ago, they issued a violation and then rescinded it because there was no violation. So we've gone through this before because the neighbors are submitting complaints on a daily basis. So DERM is out there regularly. Again, we haven't been able, we just learned about this today, that there is some tree on the public right-of-way that was removed. We don't have knowledge of it.
Okay, so we'll wait from the department to get us the information on what exactly we're talking about and if the tree is in the property, if the tree is in the right-of-way. On the water and sewer side, in terms of the connectivity, you are providing connectivity to water and sewer. So I know when we did the Pinecrest Well project, we got everybody off the wells. This is on the other side. We couldn't do it because it's unincorporated Miami-Dade. So in terms of that, how many houses are you going to be adding? I know they have the size of the pipes here in terms of the community benefit, and what is the stormwater plan?
So the water and sewer will be expanded from 112th and 97th to the site, so the entire 114th neighborhood will be able to connect to both water and sewer. Our stormwater master plan, this property, we understand that will require about 3 to 4 feet of fill. Again, the fill that we're talking about today, I think that that's going to be resolved with further analysis by DERM as part of the regular process. But the stormwater master plan will include the retainer wall that we've provided for as part of the covenant, as well as French drains, et cetera, to ensure that we maintain sufficient capacity for the 100-year, 3-day storm.
Okay. Is there someone here from Water and Sewer that can tell us how many houses? Because it does say that the neighborhood is going to be connected, but it doesn't have the number of houses that are included in the basin.
Water and sewer? There's no one here,
There's
Commissioner.
no one here from Water and Sewer. All right. Well, we'll try to get that information too. Have you guys figured out the other thing over there? They're still going. Okay. In terms of 99th Ave, if we can have staff speak to the reopening of that. I've actually visited the property and I know that they use it as a play street. And that was one of the concerns, that the county required them to open that street if anything is built, including what is built as of right.
Staff, there's a question.
I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Eric, if you could speak to the 99th Ave, because my understanding is that anything that is done there, they're saying that the county is requiring to open that street so that there'll be connectivity. The neighbors use it as a play street. And kind of a community gathering point. So one of the big items was ensuring that that was not opened up. What is your position on that?
That is in our plating and traffic memo, and we're requiring an additional dedication of 99th Avenue to provide for circulation.
Okay, so staff is recommending that they open it.
Yes.
Okay. So
If I may submit the actual memo that's in the record, the memo provides that we either need to open 99th Avenue or we need to provide a cul-de-sac at the end of 114th. And I could submit.
That's correct, or a cul-de-sac. It does say that. She's correct.
Okay.
So the idea is for us to replat the 7 acres and close the east 25 feet that was platted in 1955 so that the status quo can remain. In order to correct and make 114th Street conforming, because today it's non-conforming, we will work with the neighborhood and Public Works to create that cul-de-sac within that 50-foot right-of-way that exists today. The western 25 feet is utilized by FPL and a nursery that is within those transmission line boundaries.
Okay. All right. Eric, have you guys figured out?
Yes.
Yes.
I reviewed both the letters, the letter that the applicant submitted and the letter that staff reviewed, the verification letter. And yes, it's very creative, but yes, you could do that. You could do the density that's allowed under the CDMP of 22. And based on the lot sizes, the workforce housing allows for duplexes and triplexes. So you could get up to that number that she showed. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's a big deal. So what you're saying is that as of right, they could do the 22.
They could do 22, correct.
They could do the 22. And pursuant to what the county has said, they could do the 22 as of right, and they would have to open the street. Or a cul-de-sac.
Right, or a cul-de-sac.
But we're talking as of right. So as of right, they could either open the street or do a cul-de-sac.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, now that we have some clarity on that. We need the information from DERM CDMP still working back there. But I think that's significant. In terms of the stormwater, the other thing that I would say, and I know that you're doing the retaining wall, and you mentioned French drains, but it's also important to note that our stormwater rules kick in March. So your permit is going to have to comply with the stormwater requirements, separate and aside from that. So when you pick materials, you're going to have to pick permeable materials.
Understood.
Right? So we're clear on that. In terms of the landscaping, obviously there is concerns about the canopy. What is the plan for the landscaping?
To, well, number one, exceed the county code requirements. And what the neighbors asked us to do was create a landscape buffer along 114th so that Play Street could be expanded with a nice landscape buffer. Some folks in the neighborhood have bees and enjoy that kind of lifestyle, so we've agreed to use pollinator plants, and that is in the covenant and the settlement agreement.
Okay. Aside from the pollinators, does your landscape plan include any like green infrastructure, like the trees that are you putting in? Are you putting in trees?
Absolutely.
What trees are you putting in? And I think
We don't have a landscape plan yet, but we do have, the developer does have a couple nurseries with full-size oak trees that he has throughout Miami-Dade County. So we anticipate that this is going to be a well-developed, lush residential enclave that is befitting of this community and consistent with the lot sizes.
No palms.
I was about to say no palms.
No.
No palms. Palm trees don't count. No palms. And listen, I know people love oak trees, but they're actually not really good for stormwater mitigation. And the same thing, my father gets mad at me when I, throw shade on the flamboyant. They're very pretty, but they're just not good. I mean, in terms of stormwater retention and helping us to. There's a bunch of other things that you can plant that are so much better in terms of stormwater mitigation. Durham can give you a list on that. So I see.
We'll be working with them, absolutely.
Yes, yeah, I appreciate it. Let's try to go for natives that help with stormwater mitigation as opposed to what folks like to see. So Durham's back, yes? What do you got?
Thank you for allowing me some time to get more information. So what we did was we looked back at a landscape survey that was submitted with that request for the no permit back in October. And based on that landscape plan that was signed and sealed by the landscape architect, we verified with the aerials in terms of the trees that were removed. So we were looking at approximately 14 live oaks, 23 ficuses, slash pine, 2 palm trees, a mahogany, eucalyptus, and 1 royal poinciana. Again, we're basing that on comparing the site plan, the landscape plan that was submitted in October with aerials. I'm waiting for the documentation from the staff that actually did the inspection. They are out doing another inspection right now to confirm all that. But with a permit application, the landscape architect is supposed to submit the actual list of all the trees they're requesting to be removed, whether they could be authorized or not. But this is the preliminary information we have on the trees that were removed that are specimen trees without a permit.
So how many trees are we talking about?
About 40.
Okay.
Please, Sergeant.
Yeah.
We hear another outburst from anyone on this item, please happily escort them out. Thank you. That is your warning. Thank you.
So when are you expecting to issue something on that?
No, we did issue the ticket. I'm not sure if it's, the owner has received it yet, but Durham issued the ticket yesterday.
Okay. So they're saying that they have not received it.
We know nothing about this.
Okay. 40 trees is not a tree in the right of way.
My client is here, and that's the accurate, we don't know what this is about. And
You
we
get
would,
them?
we would submit that This would have a due process that we would analyze what Durham is saying. We have plans, and we've submitted that vegetation survey from October. We have those aerial photographs, and it'll go through the process, but we're not aware of any violations as it relates to, the one violation we've heard about was the Royal Poinciana on the public right-of-way. That was provided to us, but again, we had no knowledge of that tree removal. We're not doing any construction on the site at the moment.
Okay, in terms of the process, what happens next with that ticket once they get it?
They can apply for an after-the-fact permit, they can appeal the ticket.
Okay.
If they apply for an after-the-fact permit, then it goes through the permitting process. If they appeal the ticket, then it goes through the different process.
Okay, and what about the fill?
That is a notice that Durham will be issuing today to the property owner to provide additional information on the characterization of the fill, as well as sampling of the fill.
And when was the last time that they got a ticket for fill?
Durham inspected the property yesterday. This would be the first notice that Durham issues regarding fill.
Okay.
If I may mention something, that as it relates to fill, this is a notice asking for information, not necessarily a notice of violation, right? There'll be a notice of violation if there's actually a violation. We've been through this before, where Durham, again, they're regularly inspecting this site, so I find it hard that there were 40 trees removed in the last week, right? So I think we need to understand what Durham is saying. We have not received notice. We have no idea what is being said here, but we will work with them as we have in the past.
But
There's a lot of misinformation about this site. I can't emphasize that enough.
Right, well, clearly that's come up a few times. But in terms of the fill, is this the first time that she's saying this is the first attempt to check the fill, but you're saying that there's been issues with the fill before.
There was a complaint by the neighborhood that was part of my presentation. It was in 2023. Durham went out to the site, looked at the fill, and did not issue a violation.
So do you have?
They did ask us to protect trees. There were trees, and they asked us to put the barriers to make sure that the specimen-sized trees were there, and they're part of my presentation with the case number.
Do you have that information?
I have a Durham inspection from 2023 regarding the trees, that Durham went out regarding complaints of removal of trees. But I'll verify and see if perhaps that inspection also included verifying the fill, but I don't have that unless you have it, Melissa.
Commissioner, just let me know, because you have, I really want to get through this and land this plane, but there's going to be a quorum issue in a very short order of time, so.
Yeah, I mean, my only, I think we've clarified some of the points, and obviously the 7 versus 22, I think is significant, and I think that we've gone through some of the community benefits, and I think that what is being offered as community benefits, given what can be done as of right, makes sense, specifically when it comes to 99th Ave and the stormwater and the connecting to water and sewer and the wells. My only concern are the Durham issues that have been raised now, because I don't want it to come back, right? I think that we need to have that clarified. So I hate to defer it and say that it needs to come back with the Durham issues clarified. But I don't know, I mean, if it's the will of the board, I mean, we can take a vote. There would be no other public comment if we do defer it. I do want clarity as to what's happening with Durham, because it's very difficult for us to sit here and say, like, on the day that this item is being discussed, Durham is out there, right? And there's all these pending tickets. And while they will be resolved as part of the permitting process, right? It's a little odd to list out 40 trees. 40 trees is a lot to say that just disappeared between like one day and another. So I wish that we can have more clarity on that. Can you get us more information on that particular, I mean, how quickly can you get us more information on that particular issue? Because that's really the only issue that's holding us up at this moment is this statement that's been made about the differential of 40 trees. I mean, they're saying 1 tree, you're saying 40. That's a big disparity.
Commissioner, before she answers the question, is it the will of this commissioner to seek a deferral at this time? And if so, to what date?
Well, I'm asking is like, how fast can you get that information as to, yeah, so we can move on to the other items. Like, how much time do you need to figure out the tree situation? That's the only thing that we haven't clarified.
I need about another 10 minutes to talk to the project.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that was 10 minutes. So we can do 10 minutes.
Thank you.
And if I may just.
No, I got
Thank you.
10 minutes. We're going to come back to the.
We'll come back to this.
We'll come back to this item. Thank you. All right, so, Mr. Attorney, what we're going to do is we're going to move to item 8C3.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you're going to be removed. Please, you're going to be removed. You're going to be removed. Thank you. We're going to move to item 8C3.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, 8C3, Millennium Developments of Brickell, Z2024000021. We've had no protests and no waivers of support for this application. I'd just like to mention you have a new covenant at your place today, so if this is on recommend for approval, we'll use that covenant.
Thank you so much. Public hearing is now open. Seeing no one signed up to speak on this item, I see the applicant is here. Commissioner, how would you like to handle this? Public hearing is officially closed.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Navarro, if you want to just put your name and information on the record so you can get paid.
This morning as well. Good morning, George Navarro with offices at 333 Southeast 2nd Avenue. Here on behalf of the applicant, we have a full presentation. I'm happy to go through that or to answer questions, whatever the will of the commission is.
Commissioner from District 5, how would you like to handle this?
I don't need a full presentation. If you don't, I have fully reviewed this application, as well as my team has gone out to the site to look at the suggested improvements that you and your team are talking to make on sidewalks and street lights, et cetera, et cetera. Colleagues, that we have a model there. This is a very beautiful building. I suggest you actually look at the color renderings of this. Not only is it going to be an iconic structure near our Brickell Metro Rail station, but it also very innovatively manages the way we get traffic off the street, and that all of the circulation is happening on the property. In addition to those improvements, there is a new proffer of $1 million for community benefits to make sure that the transit stations are modified. So unless people have questions, I'm happy to move the item with the new covenant, correct, Eric, and the staff's conditions. Do you need to say anything?
Yes, I was just going to say, before this hearing, we increased the right-of-way improvements that we're making and also the amount of the contribution. The covenant will be executed, but we needed to incorporate that. So if we could have a condition that the covenant be submitted within 30 days, we're in agreement with all other staff conditions.
Thank you. So hearing the motion from the district commissioner, do I have a second?
I second it.
I have a second, and also a question from Commissioner Hardiman at this particular moment.
Just an observation. If you turn that building towards the commissioner, it looks like a howling wolf. Don't you think so?
It actually was designed in honor of my alma mater, the University of New Mexico, where our thing was the Lobos. So
we're going to change the name of that university pretty soon.
Thank you so much. Seeing that we have a motion in a second, Madam, any discussion on this item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chair, I just have a quick clarification. I just wanted to confirm that the 30-day condition that was requested by the applicant was accepted by the maker of the motion and the commissioners.
Commissioners accepted by you? Thank you. All right, hearing that amendment, so basically this item is pursuant to that amendment being added to the item, correct?
Yes, it would be approval per staff recommendation with the proffered covenant with 30 days to submit the final executed covenant and joinder. And this would be a roll call vote.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Hardiman? Commissioner Higgins? Commissioner Regalado? Just a moment. Commissioner Hardeman. Commissioner Regalado. Commissioner Higgins. Commissioner Bastien.
Yes.
Commissioner Bermudez.
Despite the Lobo logo, yes.
Commissioner Cabrera. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. Vice Chairman McGee.
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Could I ask Commissioner Higgins one question?
Thank you.
You are recognized, Commissioner
Thank you, Mr.
Bermudez.
Chair. I'm just curious, there, he did the right thing. He gave, I thought he was going to take it home, but he gave it to Commissioner Higgins. Okay, that's the right thing. That's.
All right, thank you for that, Commissioner. All right, Mr. Attorney, let's take item 8A3. Does the director need to read anything into the record?
Yes. Application 8A3, Unity Center, Miami, application Z2023-000-244. We've had one protest and one waiver of support in this application.
All right, and public hearing on this one has also already been had?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so there is no public hearing. So if somebody is signed up to speak on this item, know that there is no public hearing on this item. If you've been here for the prior items, you just see what went on. So staff, make sure that you speak to them, that they've been notified, that everything is done the way you need to do. All right, Mr. Applicant, how much time are you going to need?
I will run through this in 3 minutes.
Thank you. State your name and address for the record.
Hugo Arza, all offices at 701 Brickell Avenue, representing Unity Center of Miami as well as Lennar Homes. You might recall I was before you in November, made a full presentation. If we could go to the next slide, the property is a little under 5 acres on the west side of 147th Avenue, south of 160th Street. Next slide. We are not changing land use here today. This is existing low density, and in fact, the actual development is closer to 4 units to the acre. It doesn't even reach the full 6, as we are proposing a 22-home unit project. So no land use change. This board and the CDMP approved the land use change 2.5 years ago for this property, at the same time that they approved the parcel to the west, which is what we call phase 1 of this development. If you go to the next slide, the zoning that we're seeking is consistent with that RU1MA. It's the exact same zoning. It'll be a continuation of the same project. Next slide, please. We kind of touch on all the purposes of the application. We are compatible to the neighborhood. We are obviously providing for inventory inside the urban development boundary, helping to address housing deficiencies that we have in our community. Next slide. Proposed site plan, again, 22 homes, and I want to just point out to you 2 critical things. 163rd Street, which provides now a connection to the east to 147th Avenue, is critical here because by providing that as a public road, we are going to be able to provide for access to the east for the existing Phase 1 community, and I'll show you in a second why that's important. Also, you'll note that we do not connect to the north, so the residents that are directly to our north that have that cul-de-sac that you see right under the word site, that those residents and those homes, we don't go into their street and they don't go into ours, so our homes and our traffic do not affect them. Nevertheless, for those homes that are, those 4 homes that you see on the northern side there, we have agreed that we will have those homes be as 1-story homes so that in our conversations with the neighbors, it's not as impactful to those neighbors. So we'll touch upon that when I talk about the neighbor meetings. Next slide. And again, this is part of the larger development. And I'll have you note on the southwest corner, there's a connection point to the south there. That's 149th Avenue. And that was the other critical issue here. The neighborhood Stonewood, the community to the south, expressed concerns that the first phase of this development, that the folks were driving south. The reality is that it's a one-way road, but people were driving against, and it had been opened up. We have met with county staff and are willing to pursue with county staff the ability to close, permanently barricade that. Lennar would be happy to continue having those conversations and to pay for any permanent closure or barricade of 149th Avenue now that there is the connection to the east. And we met with traffic engineering and plotting so far and had those conversations, and we hope that we'll be able to continue those along. And of course, if the county approves it and permits it, we would move forward with that. Next slide. And again, the proffer declaration restrictions, and I actually like to go, I probably needed a little bit more time, but I want to talk a little bit about the neighborhood outreach for the commission. Next slide, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Arza. So I'm going to change things up a bit because there is a difference. I want to remain consistent. Public hearing has been had already on this item. It had also been had already on previous items. The difference is that in the documents, this one was listed as a public hearing item for today. Staff made a mistake. Therefore, you all are in luck. Do not make me regret this. I'm serious. Sounds like a joke, but it's not. You have 2 minutes to speak. I'm going to call your names up.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, could I reserve some time for rebuttal?
You may, absolutely, because I'm changing this up a little bit.
Thank you.
But these folks drove out here and have been patiently waiting, so I want to afford them that opportunity, given that it was listed as a public hearing item. David Morales, Yvonne Arenas, Alexander Pinsky, Driscoll Catherine, and Alexis Garcia. You can line up. Kathy, is this the item you're on as well? Okay, you're right. You were just on the wrong list before, so I didn't have it. But you're actually the first one, Kathy. So, and if sergeants could lower the sergeant, can you lower her? Albert, I'm gonna need a little bit more attention in the chamber. All right, Kathy, your name and your full name and address for the record.
Kathy Charles O'Sullivan, 15348 Southwest 165th Street, Miami, Florida, 33187. I spoke at the Community Council meeting where this item was initially considered, and again, I'm here to urge you to sustain the prior action and deny the application before you today. The overwhelming sentiment of the residents that were present at the Community Council was that the development, as proposed, would negatively impact the community. We do not oppose development, but we wish that the development is consistent with our neighborhood. I'm an advocate for due process, so I understand that we are here on an appeal. However, I believe that you should seriously weigh the decision made by the prior body that benefited greatly from the significant input from the community at the hearing. After all, this process is only as good as it is faithful to the intent to allow for thoughtful development that is informed by community input. The applicant should provide compelling reasons why this application should be approved. The applicant did provide a community meeting at the current Unity site, and I provided input that the number of homes proposed should be reduced and noted that the recent development to the northwest at 160th Street and 157th Avenue done by Century Builders was consistent with current zoning and compatible to our community. I would say that Lennar should be a good neighbor and consider something similar for this application. In a bit of an irony, the meeting that was held was in the actual room that is our election precinct, where we go to voice our concerns to government. I hope that today, this coincidence pretends that our voice will be heard today as well. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Kathy, for even leaving some time on the clock. I appreciate you. All right, Mr. David Morales.
My name is David Morales. I live at 14881 Southwest 163rd Street in the community of Stonewood. My biggest concern is, besides the traffic, which is out of hand right now, because I live on that dead end. That used to be a dead end at 149th Avenue. So since the Lennar opened up that community, we got this traffic going in and out both ways. And then there's a runaround from 147th Avenue that the people found out about. They come into the community, go to 149th, it's a straight shot to 160th Street, and guess what? They try to make their way to Coral Reef Drive to try to get on the turnpike. It's even difficult to get out of the community, out of the main gate on 147th Avenue. And secondly, the neighbors we got right now are new neighbors, ones with the pets. Apparently, they think Stonewood now is a latrine for their dogs. So they come in through 149th Street, walking their dogs, and guess what? Urinating and defecating on our properties. Some of them pick up, some of them don't. I'm retired. I'm 76 years old. Okay, if I get up at the crack of dawn, I catch them at night and I catch them at morning. Most of them are polite, and some of them are not. Okay, I'm too old to get into a fight with anybody. Okay, I want the community to be the way it was when I bought it in 1987. I was the third person to sign a contract into Stonewood. There was nothing out there, nothing. Now, I'm not against urban sprawl. I mean, somebody's got to live somewhere, but they need to be polite. And the only way to stop, I consider it a hygiene hazard to begin with. Okay? And I agree with Lenard, they need to close that road off. That has to be blocked permanently.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. Thank you so much. You do not look 76, by the way. The years have been good on you. It could go, Pinsky?
Pinsky.
All right, Mr. Pinsky, you're recognized.
Alexander Pinsky, 15231 Southwest 167th Street. I'd first like to thank you for letting us speak due to the issues that you mentioned. I'll be brief. I think the lady that was here before me mentioned about Century Home Builders development that's near this development, proposed development, and they took into account the lot sizes that the community has, and I'll provide this for you guys to see. Thank you. And you'll see, this is something that we'd like Lennar to pursue a site plan that's consistent with the neighborhood, and this was just done in the last year, and these homes sold for 1.2 million. So there's, meat on the bones, if you will, for Lennar, but to respect the density. And that's really, I think you're going to repeatedly hear that from the residents. We have large lots, and we want it to be maintained that way and not crammed where traffic is just unbearable. The quality of life. That's why, we're all fighting here. We're here to ask that you respect the wishes of the community, and we thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pinsky. Appreciate you. Yvonne Arenas or Driscoll?
Yes, Yvonne Arenas. My address is 16605 Southwest 148 Avenue, Miami, Florida, and I'm freezing. 33187. So my voice is going to be a little cut up. Good morning, and thank you for taking the time to listen to us. You've heard what my neighbors have said in regards to density that is really complicating 147, 160th Street. But what it's also bringing to us is a lot of traffic through our neighborhood, Stonewood. Because when Lennar built Salerno, they opened a road, which is supposed to be one way. And I handed out some pictures. It's never respected one way. It's always two ways. And actually, in one of the pictures that you have, almost an accident happened because they speed from 160, speed all through south, which should only be north, and there was a car coming north. So he had to skivel and go into the grass, and it was almost a mess. Lennar did have a meeting with us in discussion, and they understood our frustration, and they, as the lawyer just finished saying, and they did give us a letter supporting that they would support for that road to be closed to at least alleviate the amount of traffic that we're getting inside our community. It's riddled with potholes because our roads can't support all that. And not only that, but the citizens our residents that used to come out and walk, we can't do that anymore. They're knocking down mailboxes. It's become something that it wasn't before. We were very, very calm, and my voice is trembling from cold. We were very, very calm, and now it's turned into a headache. So density isn't important because every home today and day has 4 cars. Forget about the time that it used to be 2. Now it's 4, and if you multiply 4 by all the houses that are being in that community plus the other built, it's a lot. And that same amount of houses are going through a small neighborhood that wasn't built for that. And it just really has ruined the whole way that we used to live before. And my minutes are up and I'm freezing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arenas. We're going to go ahead and hire the AC just for you.
Excuse me?
We're going to hire the AC just for
Thank you.
We actually will.
Take care.
All right. So is it Catherine Driscoll?
Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to speak this morning. My name is Dr. Catherine Driscoll. I am a resident of Stonewood, and I am here in support of closing the road at Southwest 149th Avenue. It is a one-lane road coming out of the Lennar development. Traffic goes two ways, and it's not just cars. I have seen construction equipment going up and down that road from coming into Stonewood and coming out of Stonewood on 149th Avenue. I was walking my dog yesterday, and there was a UPS truck. We're getting delivery trucks. We're getting pool service trucks. We're getting all the things that are associated with maintaining a neighborhood coming into our development. Closing that road with a permanent barrier is the only way that we can protect our quality of life in Stonewood. I understand that homes are going to be built. I realize there's not a great deal that we can do about that. We're not happy with 22 homes. We would like to see it lowered. But my main issue is closing that road, and I understand that we need the county's support to do that. Please close Southwest 149th Avenue at 164th Terrace. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. All right, Alexis Garcia?
Yes, Alexis Garcia, 14951 Southwest 167th Street.
Thank you.
There is a presentation that I submitted.
Okay, you still have 2 minutes, but we'll upload the presentation and...
I'm okay with that minutes.
Do we have the presentation? Is that a yes? Can somebody nod from? All right, we got the presentations.
That's not the presentation.
That's not the presentation. That is not the presentation.
I'm okay. So let's do this.
Who did you hand the presentation to? Is this it?
I mean, the presentation slides there. Basically, two main points is that there is a precedent to this building, to this lot reassignment, is the previous building, the previous lot that they built, that my neighbor already mentioned. Point with that is that our neighborhood was built in 1998, and most of our neighbors are not aware of the complete process. Even like myself, today I made a mistake. I didn't sign myself to be a speaker. I have to go and run away, may be able to speak right now. So I wasn't aware of the complete process. That's why probably somehow in the process got missed the approval of the previous lot that was built. If you go take a look, what they are proposing now is similar to what was built before, which again, if you take a look at the slide, you're going to see that it's an increase in the density of the neighborhood, and it doesn't match what is already there. Said that, I have in the slides presentation some slides that will show you how it is impacted the neighborhood by pictures and even by videos. You have a video of how the density is affecting specific houses that are getting, and even the road and even the habitat, animal skill, and so on and so forth. And at the end, I offer a solution. It's very simple. It is already done, so somebody built a neighborhood close to ours with the zoning that we are requesting. The question is why not to go that road? Why not to keep the neighborhood the same it is and build it that way so that this lot can be built with this zoning, and not only that one, the other ones around that will have to be developed too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Garcia. All right, I have Marvell McIntyre. I said that right?
McIntyre Hall.
Oh, McIntyre Hall. I didn't say it too bad. I just missed Hall. All right, you're recognized, Pastor.
Thank you. And good morning. I am...
Your name and address, though, please.
Okay, Marvell McIntyre Hall, 7365 Southwest 132nd Street, Pinecrest, Florida. I stand here before you representing Unity Center of Miami as both co-pastor and president of the Board of Trustees. And I stand in favor of the Lennar development of our property. We actually opened our sanctuary and allowed Lennar to meet with the residents, the local residents who stand in opposition to Lennar's development. And we did that as a demonstration of good faith and goodwill towards the members of the community. We have been in that community since 2001. We probably are the longest tenured residents versus those who stand in opposition to the development. And you know what we know is that it is a positive move forward that Lennar met with the residents, heard what they had to say, and agreed to certain concessions. And the concessions, I believe, Lennar's attorney will speak to or has spoken to this morning. And we believe that it is possible and doable because traffic is just a common factor within Miami-Dade County. Traffic is here, traffic will always be here. But what we know is that Lennar is open and receptive to making concessions in order to make it work. And we stand in favor of Lennar this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. All right. That is all the speakers that I have signed up. Thank you all for being respectful of the time. Before I go to the district commissioner, is the applicant wishing to say a few more words?
Either before or after if the district commissioner.
Let's go to the district commissioner in case he may have some questions.
Yeah, of course.
Commissioner from District 9.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, to the residents, thank you so much for coming out and dealing with that traffic getting here. I know many of you left home approximately 6:30 a.m. just to get here to sign up before the 9 a.m. So my hat's off to you and thank you so much. Secondly, let me just ask this question to the applicant. I recall this is the item that I deferred previously because I wanted you to sit down with the residents.
Correct.
And come away with some concessions by way of negotiations. One of the questions that I'm going to put to you right now, I'll just tell you what it is dealing with traffic. I drove through the area, my staff and I, and we made some observations. One of the observations was brought up previously by one of the speakers as it relates to the closure of 149th Avenue at 164th Terrace. That was one of the concerns I had. Is there a world where Lennar, working with the county, will provide the resources to meet that demand?
Unequivocally. We've committed that to the neighbors, and we've already met with staff to try and see if we can make that happen permanently.
You were recognized, by the way.
What? I'm sorry.
You were recognized.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. Have an ebb and flowing conversation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hear your answer, but your answer is also giving me two answers, and I'm asking for one answer. You said the word try. I'm not asking you to try. I'm asking you, will it be done?
We'll do everything it takes to get it done. Yes.
That's not the answer. The answer
Yes.
is yes. Thank you. The next question I have for you is that previous conversation we had from this day is they wanted to see if they can get a reduction in amount of units being built in that area. Were you able to meet with them on that issue?
Yeah, we met on all issues. We were unable to reduce the density. It's a small project, 22 units, and so the impact of any reduction is disproportionate to larger projects, and so we weren't able to do that, but we did include one-story home models on the north side so that the closest homes to the existing neighbors wouldn't have a two-story home. That would affect 4 of our lots. And so we made other concessions, Commissioner, but no, we did not reduce the density. We were unable to do so.
Mr. Chairman? Everyone? Okay. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you did acquiesce to the height of the buildings on the north side?
Yes, sir.
And that was one of the concerns they previously had?
Correct. We heard that concern from those most affected neighbors that lived just north.
There's also information that was proposed that you were building in the excess of 30 units on this particular parcel in this area. Can you give us the accurate number?
Yeah, Commissioner, your site plan has 22 units. That's what we are going to build there.
Okay. There were questions as it relates to concessions surrounding buffer and other issues. Can you run through within 2 minutes the buffer issue and the greenery they asked for?
So we obviously meet all of landscaping code. We are not leaving a dedicated landscape buffer, but we are also not seeking any setback variances or the like. So all of our plantings have to occur, at the distance that code would require. But we did not, candidly, we did not hear of their, of a separate or dedicated landscape buffer. I think we heard about making sure that there was landscaping, and we do meet your entire landscaping county code. I think you had a second question. That's the landscape buffer. Was there a second one in that? Sorry.
No, my last question is, and I think you've already answered it, dealt with your meeting with the community between this point and previous point. Did that meeting occur?
Yes, sir. As the pastor said, we met at Unity Church, so very convenient to them.
Were they notified?
Yes, and they attended, and we have pictures, and we have letters of the letters of support that we have. We've also introduced into the record previously.
So, did you get new letters of support?
We got letters of support since the last time we were before you, yes.
And you provided that to the clerk?
Yes, we provided it both by email to the staff and to the clerk.
And you made that part of the record?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll just say this. I support this. I support this item with the movement that I've heard. And to staff, pretty much the question now becomes, is this going to require a 2/3 vote of members present because this is an override of the community council?
It would require a 2/3 vote of members present to approve the zoning application.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I'll move the item.
All right, so the item moved by Commissioner McGee, seconded by Commissioner Bastien. Any further discussion on the dais? And just for the record, just to make sure I did reclose public hearing. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to confirm that the motion includes the 30-day condition to submit the final covenant. I believe that was requested by the applicant. And so that would be per staff recommendation with that additional condition.
That sounds accurate. Clerk.
Commissioner Hardeman? Commissioner Higgins? Commissioner Regalado? Yes. Commissioner Bastian? Yes. Commissioner Bermudez?
Yes.
Commissioner Cabrera? Yes. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins? Vice Chairman McGee?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
I vote yes.
The motion passes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And that pleases. All right, Mr. Attorneys. 8A4.
Mr. Chairman, 8A4, 11341 Realty LLC, application number Z2023000-264. We have had no protests and no waivers on this application.
All right, and I have no public speakers signed up to speak on this. Right? That sounds right. All right, so if the applicant would.
Yes.
Okay, so this is in District 3. All right. How much time are you gonna need?
1 to 2 minutes.
That's great. Your name and address.
My name is Sergio Perinos. Good morning. I'm with CSP City Consulting. The location is 261 Navarre Avenue, Suite 304, Coral Gables, Florida. I'm here on behalf of 11341 Realty LLC. We were here before. This application was deferred from the November hearing. In essence, what we have is a request for a district boundary change or a rezoning from the property's current RU2 duplex district to mixed-use corridor. The property is a 0.44 acre parcel. It's located within a quarter of a mile of a U.S. corridor, and it meets it's consistent with the policies and goals and policies of your comprehensive plan. We have come before you. I have come before you in other instances to rezone abutting properties right to the east, to the north, and to across the street on the north side recently. So this is very consistent with the way this whole area is developing. We will our intentions are to develop this and taking advantage of the workforce housing programs that are now available. With that, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you so much, sir. Madam Attorney, did we have a public hearing? Was the public hearing open and closed on this item already?
Mr. Chair, this is a new item. I believe public hearing was opened. I'm not sure if there were any speakers who were signed up on this item, but
And to be on the safe side, are there any speakers who wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Commissioner from the 3rd District, how would you like to handle this item?
First, I'd like to thank you for your presentation. I'll move the item consistent with the recommendations of the department.
second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hearing the item motion and second, are there any discussions that need to take place on this item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Higgins? Commissioner Regalado? Yes. Commissioner Bastian? Yes. Commissioner Cabrera? Commissioner Cohen-Higgins? Commissioner Hardeman? Vice Chairman McGee?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Congratulations. All right, and then real quick, 8B1, I'm going to skip one.
Before you skip it, I think he's on the next one as well.
I am on the next one as well.
Okay, give me a second. I'm going to skip it for a second. I'll be right back to it. 8B1 is going to be a deferral. And there's people signed up to speak, so that's why I want to make sure so that they can go and not have to wait. So item 8B1, PM2 group, Commissioner from the 8th District, you're recognized for a deferral.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To staff, is there anything that you need to say on the record as to why it needs to be deferred?
Yes, this is application 8B1, PM2 Group LLC, Homestead Partners, application Z 2024000029. We had 94 protests and 17 waivers of support. The reason why staff is requesting the deferral on this application is it's a CZAB appeal, and the transcript that's in the record is from July, and that was a deferral of a CZAB decision. The actual decision happened in September. So we need to have the accurate transcript of the denial happen in the record. That's why we're asking for deferral.
To the residents who came, were there any speakers on 8B1? Any speakers on 8B1?
May I through the chair?
You're recognized.
Thank you. Ben Fernandez, 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, here on behalf of the applicant. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins, there are 3 supporters here in the audience, and I can have them stand if they can.
I see them standing.
I'm not aware of any opposition.
Okay, thank you so much. We have to defer the application due to a technical error outside of our control here at the board, and so thank you for coming down to speak, but we have to defer this to our next hearing, and the date of that is February 20th. So I move to defer.
All right, so the item deferred, seconded by Commissioner Higgins. All in favor of the deferral signify by saying aye. All opposed, nay. All right, the item will be deferred to February 20th, you all said? All right, 885.
Application 885, Q Venture Capital, application number Z 2023-000-265. We've had no protests and no waivers of this application.
All right, we're going to go ahead and open public hearing, which I have no public speakers signed up to speak. So I'll close it, and the applicant, the floor is yours.
Good morning again. Sergio Perinos, CSP City Consulting, Inc., 261 Navarre Avenue, Coral Gables, Florida. Representing this morning Q Venture Capital, LLC, in their application for rezoning from the current RU2 or duplex district to mixed-use corridor MCD. The property is located at 11305 Northeast 13th Avenue. Very similarly to the application before, 264, ending in 264, this is pretty much in the same neighborhood. It also abuts other properties that we recently rezoned, and immediately south of that and yeah, the parcel right south of it. And our intent is to unify these properties and do and also apply the workforce housing program that is available. The application is consistent with your comprehensive plan goals, objectives, and policies. And we are 100% behind your staff's recommendation. They've been working on this for a while, and I appreciate it. And with that,
Thank you, Sergio. Commissioner from the 3rd District, you recognize.
Thank you very much. I move to approve, consistent with staff's recommendations.
It's been moved. It's been seconded by Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bastian?
Yes.
Commissioner Cabrera? Yes. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins? Commissioner Hardeman? Commissioner Higgins? Commissioner Regalado? Yes. Vice Chairman McGee?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Oh, yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right. Congratulations again.
thank you. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Attorney, let's take item 8C4, Director, your statement.
Application 8C4, the Diocese of Southeast Florida. Application number Z20240000027. We've had one protest and no waivers supporting this application.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and open public hearing. I do have a few signed up to speak, so as I call your name, please line up. Keep in mind you have 2 minutes to speak. Your name and address on the record before you start. Barbara Bordet, Lori Durham, Jason Robertson, Rolf Neresim, and Martin Aranzabi.
Go ahead, ma'am. Name and address. Your name and address. Go ahead.
Oh, my name's Barbara Bourdet, and I live at 555 Northeast 15th Street.
Thank you, Barbara. You have 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, there's a building that wants to go up next to ours, and I have a lot of problems with that. There's no street in between our building and this building, and it comes very close to our building. And we know from Surfside that these buildings are old, and our pool has been shut down by the city for 3 years, and I don't know what putting a building next to that is going to do to the stability of our building. And when the Herald was demolished, we felt it. Now, this is feet from us. The Herald was across the street from us. So if we felt the Herald, I don't know what's going to happen with this. And then we have the back of the building is facing 16th Street. 16th Street is a half street that is bordered by a pedestrian mall, and it's the only egress to police, fire, and any kind of ambulance. There is no other way of getting there to service the Marriott, the Grand, the Venetia, and the Ladies Auxiliary, whatever it is, I don't know. And it's a dead-end street, it's a 2-lane street, and their garage entrance is planned for this. So they have a garage entrance for like 500 cars on a no-outlet, dead-end, half a street, 2-lane street. And the other side of the building is on 15th Street, which we all know what happens during Ultra and the Art Basel and all the things that go on there. 15th Street is the entrance to the Venetian Causeway. It's very often backed up, and this would create more traffic. It's hard for
Thank you, Ms. Bourdet.
Venetian restaurant
Thank you,
residents to actually
Thank
make
you,
the
Ms.
turn
Bourdet.
into- Oh,
Thank you so much.
oh, okay, thank you.
Ma'am?
My name is Lori Durham. My address is 555 Northeast 15th Street. Next week marks 31 years that I've lived in Venetia condo, so I've seen a boon of construction, which, you know, is always welcome. That's what we want in the city. But, you know, this building is literally 3 feet from our west wall. And so well, like she mentioned, we have already gone through the Herald demolition, which was never really fully vetted. We don't even know what damage was done to our building from that. So now we're going to have this construction literally 3 feet from our building, banging away, and it's just unnerving. I mean, I never thought that any of us would be standing here talking about a condominium in Surfside tumbling to the ground. It was just unheard of, unthought of. But here we are, and it's unnerving to think that we don't have really any idea knowing what could happen to us. Now we have this study of all these condominiums and hotels on Miami Beach that are sinking. It is that one study, and it is on the ocean, but it's from settling of ground based on construction. So, you know, more needs to be done about that. But again, what she's mentioning too is we've just had 4 huge buildings go up within a half-mile radius of our condo. So that's been a lot of banging and slamming going around our building. And I just would like to know that we're safe. And so even if this does go forward, maybe there's a way that the cathedral can set up some kind of communication website so that we know what they're doing, what studies they've done, what we're facing.
Thank you, Ms. Durham. Jason Robertson. Rolf Nedesim. Nope. Martin Aranzabi. Nope. All right, so then the applicant. And you know the drill.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Neeson Kasdan and Nick Marshall, representing the applicant, the Episcopal Diocese of South Florida. We have a brief presentation, which I'd like to go through, but I'm very proud to be presenting this project.
How much time?
Excuse me?
How much time?
I would say 5 minutes.
Sure.
We also have Canon Lang Lowry of the Episcopal Diocese here as well. The Episcopal Diocese, if we could please put up the presentation. We have it. Don't see it, but let me walk through this, folks. The property where the Trinity Cathedral is located is owned by the Episcopal Diocese. It was included in the RTZ Metro Mover subzone. It was less than a 5-minute walk from the Adrian R station.
Can we pause this time? What? Excuse me. Why is the presentation not up? Like, what is going on today? Seriously. There is a vortex in this chamber today. Do we have the gentleman's presentation uploaded into the system that you all could put up? I'm looking up there. Is that you, Olga? Wave if that is you. Yes? No? We do not have it. All right. Are you willing to proceed without this presentation?
Mr. Chair, I am, if that's okay. I think many of you are probably familiar with the Trinity
All right.
Cathedral.
Resume his time and take a stab.
Thank you. The plan that is proposed is a new 42-story L-shaped building on the vacant land which sits around the historic cathedral. The cathedral itself will remain preserved. The diocese has entered into an agreement with Key International to lease the land and develop a residential tower that will also include significant space for the church on the ground floor, including offices for its bishop and administration, and a 4,000 square foot parish hall for the church. The development program is an appropriate mixed-use infill for this underutilized land, not maxing out density. 462 residential units will be built, where up to 1,200 are permitted. The tower will be 42 stories, where 70 stories would be permitted, and 47% of the space remains open space. There will be a parking garage with space for both parishioners and residents. There's a particularly robust set of public benefits which is offered in this application. The Episcopal Diocese will fund and distribute at least $2 million in rental assistance in over 10 years to the residents on site. And I have a little modification proposal to that at the end I'll mention to you. There will be construction of 2 enhanced crosswalks off-site with upgraded safety features for pedestrians at a total cost of $750,000. A cash contribution to the maintenance of the Adrian Arch Metro Mover Station of $250,000, and a commitment to seek local historic designation of the Trinity Cathedral, which is currently on the National Register of Historic Places, but is not protected from demolition. There are many benefits to the community beyond those which are proffered in this application. The proceeds from this development will allow the diocese to fund much-needed repair and operational costs of the 100-year-old historic cathedral for future generations. More broadly, the diocese is committed to delivering affordable and workforce housing projects in Miami-Dade County as a critical part of its mission. And if you would like to hear, Canon Lowry can discuss the initiatives of the church. I would like to make a comment about the opposition from Ms. Bourdette. You have Bourdet. We will distribute to you a letter from the president of the Venetia Condominium Association, the neighboring building, which is sent on behalf of the board, which says that she does not speak on behalf of the association, and that in fact the association had concerns were addressed in meetings with our client. So the association is not in opposition to this project. The final point I'd like to make, Chair and members of the Commission, is as a result of some input we received over the last couple of days regarding the public benefits, we want to put a little finer point on the $2 million proffered amount for housing for the housing subsidies for residents. That would be for residents who would live in that building. The additional conditions that we would like to have included are the following. One, the resident subsidies would be for those who are residing within 1.5 miles of the site. Two, that the benefits would go to those who qualify for workforce housing benefits. That is the standard. Three, we will submit an annual report to the county for this program, which is being administered by the diocese, on that. And four, that there is an option to utilize the $2 million funds, all or part of it, for off-site projects in agreement with and proposed by the county within the commission district that this site is located, and that will be within 1 year of the issuance of the CO. So in other words, the Episcopal Diocese will entertain proposals and alternatively use the funds for that. With that, we ask for your approval of this great project. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. All right, so public hearing is officially closed on this item, and the Commissioner of the 3rd District has the floor.
Thank you. First, I'd like to express a genuine disclosure in regard to this particular issue, especially in regard to the conditions for the $2 million public benefit. We've had discussion recently regarding that $2 million and how it could be used, which affected this proposed change to the actual amendment. So I want that to be clear for the record so that we fulfill our duties within the law. And other than that, as long as the county agrees to it, and further clarification, when he described the money, it will go through PHCD. So we have at least an agency, or whatever title it is today, that we know within Miami-Dade County that is keenly aware of these sorts of issues and how we intend to utilize those monies for the benefit of the public good, rather than it just being general Miami-Dade County. Okay, so if that is acceptable to the county, then I will move to approve with regard to not only the amendments that's been expressed on the record, but also the conditions that have been presented by the department with those amendments.
It's been moved as amended and all those conditions, been seconded by Commissioner Cohen Higgins. Seeing no further discussion on the item, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Bastian?
Yes.
Commissioner Cabrera? Yes. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins? Commissioner Hardeman? Commissioner Higgins? Yes. Commissioner Regalado? Yes. Vice Chairman McGee? Yes. Chairman Rodriguez?
I vote yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take back up 882. And I had stepped away for a second, so Mr. Attorney, were we with the Commissioner of the 7th District? Has public hearing been closed already for this item?
Yes, sir, and there was a dialogue between the commissioner and Durham, I believe, that was.
So if Durham, be prepared, and Commissioner from the 7th District, you're recognized to re-engage in dialogue.
Can I say something, Mr. Chairman?
You're recognized.
Thank you. To the young ladies that came, that Ms. Bordeaux? Yes. Just if you have any problems during the construction of this, please feel free to reach out to my office, and whatever we can do to ensure that they're moving within the guidelines of the law, we will do so. Okay? I hope it doesn't either. Bye now.
I pray it doesn't. More than just a hope. Commissioner from
the church is on their side, so.
All right. All right, so you mean God's on their side. All right. Commissioner, you're recognized.
Thank you. All right. So there's 2 points that we need to clarify, and just so everybody's on the same page, what we have established to date is, as of right, same number of units. So we're saying 22 to 22, but the application is bringing a certain number of community benefits. One of the community benefits that I'm interested in is how many neighbors are being connected to water and sewer. Water and sewer is not here. We called them. They're looking at the GSI so that they could give us the number of how many neighbors are going to be connected to that basin. Obviously, the development connects the 22 units that you're building to water and sewer, both on receiving water and then also so that they don't have septic tanks, right? So now what we're waiting on from water and sewer is how many of the adjacent neighbors are also going to have access to that connectivity. The other issue that was pending is Durham. I did speak to our attorneys while we were waiting for the information, and obviously it's important to note that we cannot deny an application because of a prior act that is outside of the application, right? So let's just put that on the record. But we want to know what your position is, Durham, in terms of what you know now and the trees.
Good afternoon, through the chair. Let me clarify and provide a little more information that I was able to get, and I apologize for not having all this information when I stepped up here previously. So Durham inspected the site on November 22nd, 2024, issued a field notice to the property owner. The property owner was on site at the time and did sign the notice. And that notice was also sent via certified mail. And that notice was in regards to removal of specimen trees without the required permit. And then Durham followed up with issuing a ticket on January 14th, 2025. The property owner still has not obtained that tree removal permit for removing those trees. And that ticket was also sent via certified mail. Now, going back to at issue, based on the survey that was submitted by the landscape architect for this application when they first submitted the request for the determination of if a permit was required, there were 182 trees identified on that landscape survey. 92 trees did not need a permit, so 92 trees were allowed to be removed because those trees are prohibited or exotics. Durham has 70 trees based on that survey that were removed without a permit. Now, I'd like to add that a tree permit is required for specimen and non-specimen trees. So approximately 35 specimen and 35 non-specimen trees were removed. That leaves about 20 trees that remain currently on the site, that if those trees were to be impacted, they would also need a tree removal permit. Of the trees that remain on the site, Durham has documented that there are live oaks that remain on the site and a few ficus trees that remain.
Okay, so we have 35 invasive and 35 non-invasive.
No, I'm sorry. 35 specimen and 35 non-specimen trees that would require a permit to be removed. 92 trees did not need a permit because
That were exotics.
those are exotics.
Okay, all right. So to the applicant, Durham is saying that you received a notice on November 22nd.
The owner says that one of his representatives met with Durham staff on site. What we have thus far is we've been working with Durham regularly. We've been receiving complaints on a weekly basis. The last one was, I thought this one was about the last one, which was January 16th, 2025. And as Durham mentioned, this site was overgrown. It had unsafe structures. There were over 200 trees. With that said, many of them were invasive and palm trees and strangler figs. We do know that 22 oak trees have protective barriers, as Durham instructed us to do. We're not aware of the number and the type of trees that Durham is saying today that we will be receiving a violation for, because that was January 16th. I'm not aware of that November violation. I'm just not aware of it, and neither is the owner. We were aware of a Royal Poinciana on the public right-of-way that was removed. With that said, we know that we've been working transparently, and we submitted that tree survey showing everything that's on the site. So anything that was done, again, it did not impact any of the specimen trees that were in good health. Those are protected by Durham asking us to do so as we were clearing the site of the unsafe structures within it. We respectfully ask that we've been working with Durham. We're transparent. The developer does have a good relationship with Durham and has not had any malfeasance or misfeasance with Durham. They've always been transparent. So whatever occurred on site, we would respectfully ask for the opportunity to cure it, to learn about it, investigate it, cure it through the normal course of permitting. Again, we have not submitted a formal site plan showing if any of these trees were scheduled to be removed, but we will be doing that moving forward. And again, it's 22 units. Either way, we would respectfully request us moving forward today.
Thank you. All right, so to the neighbors, I don't know how we got to this point where there was so much confusion, but I think it's important to note that it is 22 as of right and 22 with this application. The 22 as of right opens the Play Street. The 22 with this application does not open the Play Street. So I think that that's important. Do we have the information from Water and Sewer? Still waiting on the basin numbers. I really wish that the application had the basin numbers. I don't know why we have to go through so much trouble to dig it up. Do you have an idea of how many neighbors you're going to be able to connect?
We believe it's everyone within 114th Street on both sides and on Killian, because the water and sewer
Right, that's where the
mains are
main-
coming from 97th Avenue through Killian Drive through 114th as well. And the part of this project, as you mentioned, is not just the 22 units, but ensuring that there is the ability to plug in for everyone else. So Durham requires us, or Water and Sewer requires us to take it to the end of all the properties. So this is a major improvement in this area, especially as the residents have been so concerned about contaminated groundwater.
Right, and listen, we're all about eliminating all the well water. It really is not safe. I mean, you can keep your well if you want it, and you can use it for ag, but it really is unsafe, and that's the conversations that we've been having countywide. You're also going to be adding, once you bring the water in, you're also going to be adding fire hydrants. Do you have an idea how many fire hydrants you're going to add?
We believe that there will be 2 fire hydrants.
I mentioned the fire hydrant because one of the things that we learned with the well water project that we did in Pinecrest is that the addition of the fire hydrant does lower the insurance for everyone in the area because it actually reduces their fire risk by about 42%. Right now, we have special trucks that have to go out there, and we have to take water out of pools and stuff if there is a fire. So that's a significant benefit also in terms of life safety for the residents. I have an issue with the tree situation, and this is my solution to it to the attorneys. Obviously, they're gonna deal with Durham and the permit, and you guys are gonna work it out. Okay, so whatever happened or didn't happen, you're gonna work it out. There's a process for that, separate and apart from us. Okay. Obviously, you have the oaks. It appears that most of those are fine. You're going to be putting in more tree canopy. You're going to be putting in a wall. You're going to be putting in the French drains. You're going to be adding more trees. But I want to ensure that the trees that you do put in don't go disappearing tomorrow. So to the attorneys, can I require that as part of this application, they plant a minimum of 10 Dade County pines? Since that is the hardest tree to remove
Through
in
the
the state
chair?
of Florida. Yes.
This is a rezoning application, so what I would offer is to include the planting of the 10 Dade County pine in our private covenant with the neighbors, and all the neighbors who are here living on 114th Street have standing to enforce. It requires 100% commitment to go ahead and change anything from these neighbors. So I would suggest we already have a covenant. If not, we're happy to proffer a new covenant to Miami-Dade County at the board's will.
That's fine, right? We can add it to the covenant.
And Mr. Gibbs is here, and he'll make sure I
Mr.
do
Gibbs,
that.
come on down and see if you're okay with Dade County pines. Abby?
Commissioner, I just wanted to what Ms. Toppin has mentioned, there's a private covenant, so the applicant could add it to their private covenant. That's not something that's part of the county's regulations. Or if it's the will of the board, the applicant could proffer the tree requirement as part of a county covenant. A county covenant, we don't have a county covenant before you.
Right, but they would have to draft a county covenant, and we don't have a county covenant here. So are you okay with 10 Dade County pines?
We're fine with that.
Okay, all right. So I think that resolves some of the tree issues, since if you remove them, all hell's going to break loose. And I would like you to plant mature Dade County pines, right? We're not going to.
Understood.
Right, not going to be
We'll
this
invite
big.
you over to pick them out.
Yes, I'm happy to pick them out. They should be at least my height. I'm 5'5". So I think
6
that
feet.
yes, 6 feet would be even better. So I think that resolves some of the issues. For the neighbors, I really want to thank you for being here, for being so organized. I wish there was a different way to deal with this, but the issue is it's 22 and 22, so we really don't have any options. If we decide not to make this change, then you're still going to get 22 units. Now you're going to get multifamily. Your street's going to be opened. You're not going to get the community benefit of the infrastructure and the stormwater. You're not going to get the wall, and I think you're going to get a lot more traffic. And I think it's important that we have, even though we're talking about 12-member associations, 7 out of the 10, 2 out of the 3, we do have a large majority. So with that and the amendments made, I move the item.
All right, show the item moved by Commissioner Regalado, seconded by Commissioner Bastian. Seeing no further discussion from this dais, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hardeman? Commissioner Higgins? Commissioner Regalado?
Yes.
Commissioner Bastian? Yes. Commissioner Cabrera? Yes. Commissioner Cohen-Higgins? Vice Chairman McGee? Yes. Chairman Rodriguez?
I'm a yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, show the item passed. Congratulations, Ms. Tapinas. All right, Mr. Attorney, any further business? Seeing none. You're recognized, Commissioner, from the 8th District.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To our staff, this was raised earlier.
If you can exit quietly, please. If you can exit the chamber quietly, and the sergeants will assist in that.
It's just more of a point of order. Can we have some acknowledgement on the record that for all future zoning and CDMP hearings, when our residents come and sign up to speak, that there will be not just a verbal, but some sort of written, organized articulation to our residents on which items have an open public hearing and which do not, so that if today happens again, which it often does, our residents are more clear on whether they have the ability to speak, save them time and often money. Can we have that representation, please?
Yes, Commissioner, we apologize for that today, and we'll make sure in the future, when they sign in, staff notifies them about that.
Thank you, Director. All right, seeing no further business, show us adjourned.